Good evening. Welcome to Soundtracks with Birdman. Tonight we're doing Saving Private Ryan. Memorial Day is coming up this weekend. God bless everyone who fought and served both in America and Canada to our north. And we have Erik Woods from Canada tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, I'm good. Boomer, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Excited. This is a big milestone movie we're doing tonight. This is one of Spielberg's best, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. For the people who don't know you, Erik, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I run and host a podcast network called Cinematic Sound Radio, and we play film, TV, and video game music. And there's about 6, 7, 8 different shows and all different genres and things of that sort. And I've been doing it for almost 25 years, and so that's kind of my thing.
Oh, cool! I didn't know you did stuff with video game music.
Oh yeah, we got a whole video game show called The One Up Beat. So
that's neat.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, we have someone in our community. Her name is Sound Engraver. She's a musician herself, and she's been doing a thing on the Donkey Kong series, Donkey Kong Country series. Yeah,
nice.
So that's kind of neat.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
And most of us have code names here. You're the only person going by your real name. So.
Yeah. If I'd have known, I would have put mine down.
No, you're fine. Do you have a code name?
No, not really. Just a Twitter handle.
No, it's fine. Yeah, this is my Twitter. People always ask me, like, am I a boomer? I'm Gen X, but the boomer thing came from the point that at some point everyone becomes a boomer. Like, there was the meme going on about how if you think Quake is a good game, you're a boomer. And I'm like, well, Quake was a good game. It had a great score too by Trent Reznor, actually, if you think back. But who went on to do movie scores after that? Yeah.
Yep.
And he's gotten 2 Academy Awards.
Yes,
he does.
Let's just welcome the chat. We got Melissa Harris and Sons, and Zootopia's in the house.
Cool. Yeah, Zootopia's been on the streams. I was talking about, I don't know what we're planning to do for next month, but I know you had made a thing that we were going to do 80s movies. I think that was your idea.
Yeah, we kicked around the idea of 80s month.
Because I've been begging for Beverly Hills Cop rewatch.
Wow.
Because I have the Entrada score to that. But...
Well, we can put that down if you want to.
Right.
Do you want to do that in June?
Yeah, I think Beverly Hills Cop in June. It's a good summer movie too, I think. So yeah, that
might be a good
one.
Ian Clark's here from across the pond. How are you?
Oh,
sir?
Excellent.
Ian. I know Ian.
From Great Britain, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
that covers a lot of territory.
Yeah. We got America, Canada, and Great Britain. We got all the allies in the house tonight.
Yes. It was. I was watching the a masterpiece they were doing, Atlantic Crossing, which was a Norwegian produced television series about what the Norwegians were dealing with during World War II, and about how the princess was in exile and she befriended Franklin Roosevelt over here, and it was all about them trying to get America to loan them the means so they could take their country back. Basically, it was an interesting series, but not sure how historically accurate it was, but it was interesting. Yeah.
Well, let's start the film because this is a long film.
I think so. Yeah. All right. You want to do the 1, 2, 3? Are you is everyone ready for it?
Yeah, I'm streaming this one, so.
Yeah, I've done that too, and oddly enough, I have more trouble with the Blu-ray sometimes. But I have the old DVD for this, so hopefully this won't give me any trouble. Okay.
Okay.
Like I'll hit play and nothing happens, and they're already 10 seconds into the movie. But
all right.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, play.
Here we have the Dreamworks title sequence. I keep wondering, was this the first movie I saw it in, or was that Prince of Egypt? Because I think they came out the same year.
Did you ever see?
Did you not see Amistad?
Yeah,
I've never.
That was the first one.
I've never seen Amistad.
Peacemaker.
The what?
Peacemaker with Clooney and Kidman
and Nicole Kidman. Yeah.
I didn't see that one either. I remember a friend of mine kept calling it the Pacemaker when it came out because I guess it was that intense.
It was pretty amazing. Yeah, it's a solid movie. Check it out.
But yeah, I do need to see Amistad. I'm not sure why I never got around to watching that one. They said it was like the spiritual sequel to in the way Schindler's List, but
It's intense. It is, but it's more of a courtroom drama than anything.
I do like those.
Yeah, it's really good.
Those are my favorite television series, so I should like that.
Now they used the Boston Symphony on this, and it was actually recorded at Symphony Hall, which is like my favorite place on earth. And Gus Seabearing did the French horn solos, and Tim Morrison did the trumpet solos, along with, what's the other guy's name? Thomas Rolfs.
That's right.
And they put him in opposite sides of the concert hall up in the balcony.
Yeah, real rich sound that was presented. And they were talking about the, I remember the liner notes, John Williams talking about the air in Symphony Hall. He says it's great to record in the studios in Hollywood, but there's just something about the air and the way it just plays with the sound. Like it's just that kind of richness is what you can get from Symphony Hall. It's a great recording by Sean Murphy too. Really well done.
Do you have it on LP?
Talking about me? No.
Yeah.
I don't collect LPs. No, not at all. No, I'm not an LP guy at all.
I only have a few vinyls myself. I do prefer CDs. I actually like how some companies will give you the CD with the LP sometimes, which I appreciate. But
well, I got the current reissue.
Oh, nice.
It's got a bunch of words on the gatefold.
There's a really cool effect. I'm not sure where you guys are in the movie, but when the crosses arrive, listen how Williams accents them with snares. So when the crosses come right across, he'll thump down on the snare drums each time they show up.
Cool.
Yep, there you go. How's your husband, Al? Did he have his operation or procedure, whatever they call it?
I don't know why. Whenever I see this scene, I think back to that What Have We Learned Charlie Brown special I saw when I was a child, which was the Memorial Day special. They did a Charlie Brown special that was all about what happened in World War I and World War II. They were over. It's supposed to take place after the movie where they're in France, and they're visiting all the war memorials, and they're learning about World War I and World War II and about all the veterans that died. And it's like it's a kind of a somber Charlie Brown special. I guess it was to teach kids about the sacrifices that were made. And they even had a quote from Eisenhower, I think, where he's talking about all the men that he was under his command that died and how he felt awful about it. And it's a fascinating special. But whenever I see these, that was like my first introduction to like these war cemeteries.
Oh,
yeah. When I was a kid.
That's probably the only one I haven't seen then. Probably didn't make its way over here, this side of the pond.
Oh, maybe it didn't. I don't know. They did put it in an Emmy set, the Emmy award-winning Penis special set. But yeah, that's the only way where I've seen it. Now that actor looks just like Matt Damon, except older. It's remarkable, and I've only seen him like in like television series, like as like the corrupt politician or something, like on CSI or something like that. But
well, the funny thing is, I felt duped when I first watched this because I always thought the zoom into the eyes was then the point of view of Tom Hanks, because Damon doesn't experience any of this, or sorry, Ryan doesn't experience any of this.
Good point.
And so when they do push in on Hanks's eyes in about 25 minutes, it's the same sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, well, obviously
that's Tom Hanks, right?
Tom Hanks, but it's not. Even this shot with the eyes, right? It's like, I'm thinking, all right, this is what he's experiencing. It's really strange.
Good point. I mean, I think Matt Damon was like the new the new actor. Like I remember I liked him in Good Will Hunting. That was the big deal movie that came out, I think, a little before this, right? Yeah. And,
yeah. And the thing is, Spielberg didn't want to use him because he saw him first in Courage Under Fire and thought he was way too skinny to play Private Ryan, and he didn't know Matt Damon other than through Courage Under Fire.
Oh,
So when he finally saw him, he's like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And the funny thing is, also Damon was not part of any of the pre-training that they did. I think it's about 3 weeks of this regiment training, and they purposely kept Damon away from it, so he was isolated from the group. So, which was the same sort of experience that they would have in the movie. So when the group finally finds Ryan, there's isolation there, right? They don't like him. And so they did that on purpose. And yeah.
That's interesting. Regiment training, I think they did that with Platoon, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
In fact, I'm wondering if they had the same guy for this. Oh, here we go. Okay.
He's actually the guy who trained them. He's actually in the film, and I have a picture of it in this
It might be the same guy who did their stuff for Platoon as well. I think I could be wrong, but
he's always some army guy in these movies.
Yeah, and I think I could swear he might have done both. I know he did something else, and it might have been this. Yeah, like he's like the go-to guy for when Hollywood's reenacting war scenarios. But this is terrifying.
Oh, this is incredible. I think I crushed my girlfriend's hand at the who was my girlfriend at the time while I was watching this. It was so intense.
You could hear a pin drop in the theater. I think nobody was talking when this was going on. They were just.
I didn't know what to expect at all.
I had heard it was intense, and I went to see it with a friend that was a girl, and I crushed her hand through most of the movie. And I don't like this movie. And let me explain that statement before I get crucified. To me, it's so visceral and raw. And the lack of music for me, if I had music right here, I would probably feel better. But all you have is gunshots and screaming and people getting shot. And it's like, holy hell. Where's my John Williams music? Did Steven Spielberg really do this? It's like, it's like I was talking to a guy today. It's like, this and Schindler's List. It's like, it's not the movie you just pop in the VCR while you're cleaning the house just to have something on to sit down. And like, oh, I like that scene. Let me go back and do this. Oh, I like that. There's nothing in that movie like that. And you're in it. And when it's over, you're just like, wow. You're just spent, emotionally spent. And I've seen it one time before tonight. So this is my second viewing in 25 years?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I think Ian said in the chat, but it's Dale Dye who did the training for them. He also had some assistants, but if you can see it, that's him right in the middle.
Right. And he did say he did Platoon as well. I thought, because I remember I had the DVD, I had the special edition DVD for Platoon. Then I found out about the making of this, and I was like, oh, I believe that's the same guy who did the training for Platoon as well. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And actually, they use actual amputees for this sequence.
Oh, wow.
So everybody has their legs blown off. It's but you know what's really nuts is all the fire effects they have in this and how long they linger on them. And I can't imagine getting prepped for that and calling action on that one. And all right, let's let this rip and have all these guys burning up. Like it's not necessarily the first one where the guy's pack blows up here. I mean, that's pretty intense. But there's another shot with Hanks. He's in the kind of the left-hand side of the frame, sort of profile close-up, and then you see down the beach, a whole bunch of guys are just on fire coming out of the boat. It's on there forever. This one right here.
Yep. Oh boy, get in the water.
Right, look at that shot. Look how long they're lingering on that. How many guys are in flames? It's crazy.
The one guy I forgot about this. The guy picking up his arm. I remember that. It's like, and I'm horrified. I'm thinking I might be doing the same thing.
There's more to come, Boomer. There's more to come.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I remember. I mean, I know I saw this at least a couple times. I haven't seen it watched it for a while. I'm not sure why.
It's a film you have to prepare for.
I think so.
It's just like Schindler's List. I mean, Schindler's List is a yearly viewing for me because it's just a perfect film but it's something you really have to mentally prepare for. Much like this one.
Yeah, I remember Schindler's List. We had to study that in a literature class I took in college. I had to write I think included in part of a paper I wrote.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I did good in that class too. I liked the teacher in that class, but actually, she told me later on that the kids today, they can't watch black and white movies. She said she keeps trying to show them to them now, and it's like an uphill battle.
And that was the worry Spielberg had with it. He didn't think he was going to make a cent. And it made what, $300 million, and it was because of black and white. He's like, nobody watches; they'll be turned off by it, no matter whether it's a modern film or not. And that's just nuts.
You know, if I was a studio exec, I think Steven Spielberg reaches a point that whatever he wants to do, just give him the check, let him go do it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the way it is.
Chances are, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I remember the gut scene too. Yeah, I was bracing for that one. I did remember that one. Yeah.
It's the yelling of "Mama." That's just really like you'd probably be doing the same thing out there.
They almost say, especially when a man is dying in pain, that's almost like a visceral thing. They say like a automatic response happens to a lot of men. It's terrifying.
But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we're following these men, but there's always constant cuts to suffering. Like that, he doesn't ignore that. There's no glorification of war in this movie, and especially in this scene. And I mean, that was the point. But there's always somebody suffering.
Well, that's the thing too. I think World War II, out of all the wars, I think tends to get romanticized the most. And I kind of understand because we were up against a very nasty enemy that, needed to be taken down. I understand that, but it's still, it would have been great if it didn't have to happen to begin with, right? But of course it had to, right. But it wasn't a pleasant experience. It's not.
Did any of y'all see the Longest Day?
A long time ago. Kind of was a kid, and I don't remember much of it. Although I do remember seeing Sean Connery and going, "What?" That's kind of like my only memory. It's like everybody's in this.
I remembered seeing. Was it Thin Red Line? Did that also come out around the same time?
That came out this same year.
Yeah.
Which is a completely different movie.
Yeah, didn't like that one as much. Because I was going in expecting a movie like this, but it's a completely different style movie. But
yeah.
I just want to bring up a historical point here. The Navy was told to stay back because they were afraid that the naval ships would get stuck on the bottom of the beachfront. And eventually they saw that they weren't making any headway. And one captain said, "Move closer, and we're going to have to take out the pillboxes from the ship." And as he was doing it, he was told to stop, and he refused to stop. And then they saw that it was working, so they ordered all the other ships to do it. And I forgot to look up the guy's name for this, but one captain defied orders and risked his career to help save the guys on the beach.
Huh. Interesting. I take it the bag is to keep the stuff from getting wet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Get shot. Okay, that's no good. I'm waiting for the scene with the guy with the helmet, and they say, "Oh, you lucky it hit the helmet," and then
it's right here.
It's coming up. Yeah. Okay, it is right here. Okay.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it's
And how do you even help anybody in a situation like that? I don't.
And hope you don't get shot, right? You hope that the kind of like the rules of engagement are in there, like no medical are supposed to get hit or be targeted, right?
But
and you just hope that. Well, I mean, when this guy's water bottle gets dinged, right? It was like, jeez, you're just trying to help.
Mm-hmm. I think you just have to focus on what you're doing and forget about what's going on around you. I just
like I can't imagine. I mean, I was watching this scene earlier today just to kind of remind myself of a few things, and I was like, why does it? I mean, I know it's loud and I know it's noisy, but there's a constant other sound there, and it's all of the subwoofer and a lot of that low rumbling, and it's all the explosions that are happening around them that sounds like thunder. And I was wondering, what is that sound? It literally sounds like a storm. And obviously they've added in, there's still stuff going around them, not necessarily everything that's happening around them with all the whizzing and all the explosions close, but yeah, there's this sense of a storm, and it's just in your face for 25 minutes and so uncomfortable because it's very fatiguing. It's a very fatiguing scene, not just to look at, but even to listen to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's this. I remember the sound. In fact, I think of any movies, especially with sound design, this one pops up, especially when I was seeing this in the theater, because I think this was around the time a lot of the movies were finally theaters were really starting to roll out surround sound, all around. Like I know for a while you would have a lot of stereo theaters still, but eventually everyone was going to surround, and this was one that really took advantage of that.
Yep.
In fact, I remember I got this on DVD, and then like a few months later, here's the DTS version. I was like, should have waited maybe. Go ahead though, Daniel. Sorry.
This movie, along with The Matrix, was one that I would test my new sound systems with. It was so dynamic. It's so good.
It did win for best sound editing, sound mixing, film editing, cinematography, and best director for Spielberg.
Yep. Should have won best picture too.
What about Shakespeare in Love, man? Come on.
It's not bad. It's just not Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. I think. Do
but
people
then
still
again,
remember Shakespeare in Love?
No, and it doesn't matter. Weinstein threw all his money at it. There's a really good video on how Weinstein was able to manipulate the Oscars, and I think it's from an account called Be Kind Rewind. And she mostly focuses on actresses, and so she did a whole video on Weinstein, Saving Private Ryan, and Gwyneth Paltrow, and how she managed to win that year. It's a really great channel, and you should check it out just for that. It's really an interesting deep dive into that controversy. He would literally buy Oscars.
That's interesting to know, because I did remember when Sling Blade came out. I thought that should be. I don't think that even got a nomination. That's one of my favorite Miramax movies, and I thought that should have won a Best Picture the year it came out.
One was screenplay, I think.
One original screenplay. I remember that. Yeah. But Shakespeare in Love, I saw that. It was all right. I mean, it was good. I'm not going to say it was a bad film. I remember when The English Patient won, though. That was one I thought was a bit overrated myself, but I know there are a lot of people that love it. But
yeah, it's one I never got into.
People argue it's one you had to read the book over. I remember Joe Bob Briggs had a tirade on Monster Vision about how I should have to read the book before I see the movie. And it was
true. It's true.
Oh man, what's he doing here? Okay, I remember this. Oh. This movie inspired a lot of video games too.
Yeah, Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Amazing.
When that first came out, they were like, someone has to turn this segment into a game, which
well, at least Spielberg was behind it,
That's true. He was. I forgot about that. He did.
And they made it more like an adventure game than anything. And then that you could say that's one of the reasons why is because of Giacchino's music for the series. It's it's kind of like in that Indiana Jones adventure vein, where it's like the bad guys get a bad guy theme, the heroes get the hero theme, big action music, and it's pretty good stuff.
Yes,
but it's nothing like the movie.
Oh yeah,
with the exception, I think Allied Assault, I think was the first one they put on PC, but I think that's Was that the first one where they did the beach assault?
It might have been. It was one of them. I remember reading about it when it came out, and it's like, oh, it looks like they're doing the beginning of Private Ryan, but they're doing it in a video game. And I was like,
yeah, because they had Medal of Honor, then they did Underground, which was the French resistance. They did Frontline, which probably could have been the beach landing, and I knew that. And I remember playing that with a friend, and it was the most impossible level to get past. It was crazy.
I guess they were being realistic.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
I like how all the different soldiers have their own religious symbols. Like you have the Christian, you have the I think there's a Jewish member of the group too with the Star of David, and that it really is a think about men from all these different backgrounds fighting for the same cause.
That's right. Yeah. These shots of Barry Pepper are awesome. All of the sniper shots with him are so good.
Yes, I remember Barry Pepper. I kept thinking he was going to be the next big thing, like Johnny Depp. Like then he was in Battlefield Earth, and I don't know if that hurt him.
It probably did. He was also Enemy of the State. Was he an enemy? I think he was an enemy. He just didn't make good choices.
Enemy of the State. I remember that was like the first movie where Evan Roper sang its praises, and I went to see it. Oh, no, not Enemy of the State. I'm thinking Enemy at the Gates. Okay, never mind. I'm confusing it. Okay. Yeah. That had Jude Law in it, not Barry Pepper. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
That's another World War II movie, Enemy at the Gates.
Yeah, which has another amazing opening sequence.
That's the Stalingrad?
Stalingrad, yeah.
Yeah. Glad I missed out on that one.
It's... like I said, for the opening sequence, it's really good for all the sniper warfare, but then it gets a little ridiculous, and there's this romance between Rachel Weisz and it's a triangle, it's a love triangle, which is really strange. But once Harris comes in as the sniper, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, there's some real cheeseball stuff in it. But the whole opening sequence is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they didn't have enough rifles, so one guy gets a rifle, you follow behind him. When he gets shot down, pick up his rifle, and move forward.
That's right.
Logic,
and if
right?
if you turn around and run back, they have their own guys, Russians with machine guns that would mow you down for being a coward.
Yeah, that's terrifying. It's like that's not.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Now they're finally getting the upper hand.
Yeah.
I'm wondering. Brutal. Part of me wonders if all this is in real time as it happened on the day, or if it's probably sped up, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
It took hours.
It took hours, yeah, but they did shoot it in chronological. They shot it in some sort of order.
Okay, because it does feel realistic. Like they're really...
I can't remember how long it took, but I mean, you can tell there's also different days, and you can see them fighting with the light, because there were some days that were really sunny and some days that weren't. And that's tough to color grade. And on top of that, I mean, you're playing with lenses and film that they've monkeyed around with to saturate the color and to let lens flares in, because you see a ton of the lens flares. So they actually took the protective coating off the lens, and so it would allow all that light in that would normally be protected. And there's a great scene in here. I don't know if there's two soldiers that stand up and surrender. And then there's two guys that walk up to him and like, what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? And then they eventually shoot the two of them. And I had no idea who they were and the great thing about Amazon Prime is they offer up trivia as to what's happening in the movie. So I'm not sure if we've gone past that point, but there's two guys, again, hands up, speaking a different language. They're actually Czech soldiers who are by the Nazis to fight for them. Huh. And these guys were standing up going, don't shoot, don't shoot. We're Czech, we're Czech, we're Czech. And of course, the Americans had no idea what the hell they were saying. So they shot them and they make a joke about it. But that's actually what happened.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize
these guys
that.
Right here. These guys right here. They're saying, please don't shoot me. I'm not German. I'm Czech. I didn't kill anyone. I'm Czech.
Oh.
They're members of what the Germans called OST East battalions, men, mostly Czech, who were members of they're mostly Czech and Polish, taken prisoner in Eastern European countries, invaded by Germany and forced into the German army.
I didn't realize.
I had no idea until today.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia, Poland, they really got the
hell beaten out of them.
Yeah, I mean, the first Germany, then Russia later on. It's like, oh.
This scene with the youth knife. Every time I go to a gun show, I don't understand, but people like to collect stuff with the emblems on them. I can't even stand just to hold them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to see them. And the guy's like, I got this Luger here with SS markings. I don't want to touch it. I do not want to touch it. Just put it up.
Well,
it just creeps me out.
I was watching like this made-for-TV movie on the Unicorn Killer, and the guy actually did have this German, the German flag at the time up in his room, but because he had actually fought in World War II, and he took that as a symbol, like, yeah, we beat these guys. That's why he had it. Like, no, I'm not saying that's why the people at these shows are getting it. It could be other reasons, but they said that's why he had it in his house. It was more like seeing this as a defeated enemy,
Maybe it's like the Catholic in me just thinking that objects can be imbued with something, but it's just like I don't care.
Well, no, I understand. I don't know anything like that either. I'm just saying, and it's it could be ignorance. It could be other reasons. I don't know.
But at the same time, I'm like a total hypocrite because I've got a Rashikage rifle from Japan with the all the emblems on it, and I'm fine with that. Although the Japanese were just as brutal.
Oh yeah,
Germans.
Yeah, there's some good Pacific Theater movies out there too, but I'm trying to think. I remember Barks Root Beer after the Soviet Union fell. You could mail in for like Soviet Union icon, like little pins and stuff, or like I think they got a bunch of stuff from there was surplus over that they got rid of, and they gave it away as prizes if you bought Barks Root Beer. You could mail in for it, and you also got like a Gorbachev temporary tattoo you could put on your head, because of the birthmark. This was a thing back. It's hard to believe now, and I got like a couple like Soviet pins, I guess, that people would, I don't know if the youth would put on their lapels or something, I don't know, and it was a weird thing that they gave those out. Barks Root Beer. It was to celebrate, I guess, the Soviet Union falling, but.
So this is interesting. We're 28 minutes in, and we're finally hearing the main theme of the score. And Ian's out sound, the scene that we just watched is just so much more visceral and impactful. But this is, if you listen to this music, then go and listen to Aaron Cole's Lincoln Portrait. It's essentially the inspiration for it, and it makes sense because eventually there's a letter being read from Lincoln in this scene, but it's all very Aaron Copland-esque. And it's like a 9-minute cue too, really long, but it does tell a story. And that, like I said, there's that main theme. It's not Hymn to the Fallen. It's the actual traditional main theme that nobody really talks about.
Where would you rank this in Williams' scores?
That's a toughie.
Yeah, I guess it's a different kind of movie than what we're used to. Scoring, I guess, yeah.
Because it's. I don't think there's an off note. I think it's perfectly spotted. I think it's one of his best dramatic efforts. He comes in when he has to, says what he needs to, and then steps away and lets what needs to play out. But Hymn to the Fallen, that singular piece all on its own as a memorial to everyone who fought, is one of his greatest creations. And I hope everybody who watched this movie stayed for the entire end credits to listen to it. And Spielberg even said, I wish I didn't have credits over top of it. I should have just played it black and then rolled the credits. He wanted everybody to pay attention to the music at the end of the movie.
What about like your personal favorite Williams scores? How would you rank it on your own personal taste?
I don't think it's in my top 10.
See, I wouldn't either. I don't think I'd put it in the top 20.
Yeah, I'd have to go through and kind of write down what I think are all of his best, but it's not anywhere near kind of like those average, above average scores. I really think it's that good. I thought it should have won the Oscar as well. That or The Thin Red Line.
I thought it was going to that year.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, and again, Weinstein. Actually, no, that wasn't Weinstein. Weinstein was Shakespeare in Love for the comedy category. It wasn't Life is Beautiful. One.
Yeah.
I was just like, what are you guys on? So,
oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, this whole scene with the mother it's wordless and it's so perfect. All the body language is all you need to see to know what she's thinking, what she's feeling. Great shots.
I had to look it up. That was Bryan Cranston just a minute ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. No, apparently, out of all the people who had lost limbs, he was the only one that was, not the amputee in the movie.
There was a ship at Pearl Harbor that had a father and his 3 sons on it that went down. And after that, the Navy said no more family members on the same ships.
Right. I forgot the inspiration. I think is based on a Civil War story. I know I have it in the book here. I'll see if I can find it.
But see, she doesn't know they're coming to say that 3 of her sons are dead.
Right, but it's once they walk out of the car and she collapses, she knows, and no words are spoken.
I talked to a chaplain one time, and he had this job during Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And he said he felt the worst for the corporal driving him around every day. I was like, wow, that's, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, that.
Now that's Dale Dye off on the right-hand side there.
Yes, that's him.
Yep.
I think he also has a cameo in Platoon as well, even though he is the guy behind the scenes.
That's right.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston, actually, he did a book, an audio book. He did The Things We Carried, actually. He did the book version of that, which I thought was interesting.
Tom Hanks read this letter at the recording sessions to the orchestra. Right.
I'll have to check this out on Prime because it's on HD on there, I'm sure. And
yep.
Still have my standard definition copy. This might be one worth getting a repurchase on Blu-ray, so I sometimes do that.
Yeah, it has it's a pretty good making of too.
Yeah. I know Steven Spielberg famous though that he's never done an audio commentary though, right? I think
that's right.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish he would get over that. That's a little absurd.
Well, I find it odd because I think he likes. I don't see why. Maybe he's too busy. I don't know. But like, he made a point that he had the director of Lawrence of Arabia. He said he met the director and they actually played the movie. And the director talked about the movie over, and he said it's like the audio commentary you hear, except the director was next to me actually telling me about the making of Lawrence of Arabia because that was like one of Spielberg's favorite movies when he was growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he helped with the restoration of it.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think of the last Spielberg movie I saw. I think was it Bridge of Spies?
I think that was the last one.
Okay, was that the last one he did? Yeah, because I did enjoy that one.
Ready Player One as well.
Oh, I see. I saw Ready Player One.
But yeah, he's been busy with Murray for the longest time.
I know that West Side Story was in the works. I don't know if that's still coming out or.
Yeah, yep, Christmas.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Sir Ian, The Post. That's right. I always forget about that film.
This is always a curious scene to me. He's looking at these guys eating the sandwiches, and I keep wondering what he's thinking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's one of these things I don't like. Is it disapproving? Is it something
maybe because
else?
They're just doing ordinary, everyday thing. Hey, look what we just went through. Right?
Yes, but at the same time, I'm thinking you got to eat. I mean,
that's true.
Or maybe he hasn't seen beef in a while. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's especially during wartime. It's
maybe he wishes he had time to relax.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's probably what it is. Maybe it's a little. Yeah, that's what it is.
So, Eric, you think you're happy with the amount of music in this film?
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't add anything, add any more?
I don't think there really is any more room for it. I might even say that as much as I love the high school teacher scene, that might just be overdoing it a bit. Just because of what's being said and what's being done. But if you listen to it, it might just be a little too sweet, but there's, I just think that it really needs to come in and really make an impact. And so like all the pre-cues to war. So like that prelude that we saw with, old Matt Damon and then going into the war, I think is fine. And there's a great preparation cue that happens just before the battle in that small town there. I just don't know if there's any other place where I would say, yeah, it's needed. And I think that he really covers a lot of the most powerful moments. I mean, you listen to Wade's death. I'm not sure. It's a hard one to listen to. It just feels like the sound of death. It's really deep. And it almost seems like Williams is sucking the life out of Wade's body. So I just don't know where else I would put music. It's sort of like the same thing that Goldsmith did with Patton. There's only 30 minutes of music in that 3-hour epic, and it's all impactful and it's all important. And I think if you put more in it, it might lose its impact.
Yeah, because Daniel and I talk about this, like he often refers to like a lot of the 1970s movies tend to have sparser scores than a lot of the stuff that comes after, I think. Yeah.
I mean, looking for realism. I think that's the one here. I mean, there's sometimes where you want that escape and you don't mind like wall-to-wall music. I just think that this is one where the drama's already there. It's already on screen, I think. And I'm just trying to think of any other scenes where music might have helped it out. And I can't recall now. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but
oh yeah, okay. This is the guy that can. Is this the guy that can speak German?
Yes.
Okay, this all comes back to me now. Yes. Oh no. Okay. Fail. That's a fail. Just
now knowing what we know, that's where it's like, oh no, do they have to bring Upham?
Yes, I know there's the big moral quandary they run into a little later, which we'll get into soon enough. But I keep thinking Pete Postlethwaite's in this movie, but I don't think he is, right?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
He is in Amistad and he's in Lost World.
Right, yeah, I don't know why I keep thinking he's in this. He's not. Okay. Because he tended to show up in a lot of these Spielberg release productions or produced productions back then. But
yeah.
But what a way to open a movie, and now you're going into the main story. Yeah. But this is it's kind of like how James Bond movies start with the pre-sequence, the adventures, and then you get into the main story. But this is, of course, a serious, war epic. Yeah.
And I would like to think that this shot with the sun coming out, an accident, like they just got lucky. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
those clouds. It just looks. I'd hate for it to be an effect shot.
I think back then at this point they weren't overdoing it with that kind of effects. I think.
I think the biggest effect shot was one we just saw with all the boats on the beach, and so there was a lot of most of it was all practical.
Yeah, I mean I think this is still prior to even the Phantom Menace coming out, right?
That's right, by a year.
Yeah.
And frankly, if we don't notice the effect, then it's a good effect regardless, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So. Oh, he's writing a book. Oh,
Isn't everybody?
The Bonds of Brotherhood. Yes, I know. That's Vin Diesel, right? Yes, I remember now. Okay.
Yeah, Vin Diesel.
I remember I saw Fast and the Furious in the theater when it first came out, the first one. I remember that. That was the summer where the writer's strike happened, and like I kept thinking we were getting lesser blockbusters because they were trying to turn everything out all at once. I think Tomb Raider came out that summer, and Kiss of Death with Jet Li and Bridget Fonda that came out.
Wow.
Or Kiss of the Dragon, maybe that's what it was called. Yeah, that was kind of a light summer.
Sir Ian makes a good point. This was more of an escapist men on a mission film than more adventurous music would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I do think this movie would have been easier to stomach if it had had more music to it.
Probably. It probably would have dumbed down's the wrong word, but yeah, if you kind of had all these heroism, rah-rah kind of moments during the beach landing, it probably would have taken away from the realism. Like, I mean, you had veterans watching this who couldn't get through it because it was just so real.
Yeah.
And I think that's the impact that Spielberg wanted. And no one had ever seen anything like this before. That's the thing. Such a revolutionary movie. Even the camera technique, and I mean the up in the shutter speed to get those kind of a crisp staccato shots. Ridley Scott would use that in Gladiator. These handheld shots, became all the rage. It's and a lot of work. I mean, holy smokes, Band of Brothers looks like a 10-hour Spielberg movie, and he didn't shoot it. And that's a great series, and that might even be better than this film in some aspects.
I need to watch Band of Brothers. Don't yell at me.
No, it'll blow you away.
It's always been on my, why haven't you watched Band of Brothers yet? Because my family watched it without me. I think I was in school because I usually, a television series I'd watch and then like, okay, so, and it's always been on my watch list. And I know they did another one, The Pacific, which was like kind of a follow-up. Yeah. Okay.
Not as good.
I see. But yeah.
But Band of Brothers is, you could binge that one easy. You wouldn't want to stop. Get through the first episode. It's tough to watch at David Schwimmer in the first episode, but once it gets into the second one and they're in Europe, yeah, great character development. They tackle anything and everything in that.
You know what? Yeah, I think I'll rewatch it this summer. I think let's face facts. Entertainment's kind of dry right now. I think I should watch Band of Brothers. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's really good.
Did you like the Pacific, or did you see the Pacific?
Yeah, it was tough for me to it had some great moments, but then it started hurting to like there's points where, from what I can remember, after they were on the island, they would make their way to Australia and they have some shore time, and I'm like, I didn't care. I really didn't care about that. And I just couldn't get through it. So I have to give it another shot, but it was like 4 or 5 episodes in and I was kind of bored by it. And maybe it was just my expectations, having seen Band of Brothers and being so blown away by it. So yeah.
Oh, I have to say, out of all the scenes in the movie, is that we're getting to the sniper scene?
It's coming up.
Yeah. Okay. I remember this. Yeah, this was the one. This was a tense thing. It's funny because I'm thinking, the beach, most tense part. And I'm thinking, I don't know, the sniper thing. I'm wondering how much one good sniper is worth. It's probably a lot to a.
And you don't realize that's Paul Giamatti he's talking to.
Oh yeah.
It's like a small role. Him, Bryan Cranston, Ted Danson's in this.
Oh, who else is in this? Not Paul. Yeah, Paul Giamatti. Oh, who's the other actor? Oh, I think the one who plays the medic. I'm trying to think.
Well, who? Wade?
Yeah.
He's Giovanni Ribisi.
Giovanni Ribisi, thank you.
Yeah.
I remember first seeing him on an episode of The X-Files where he co-starred with Jack Black as like this kid in town that could control lightning, and it was odd because like they became much bigger names after that episode happened, But it was like you watch it now and it's like it's Jack Black and Giovanni Ribisi in an X-Files episode is like the big characters, It's
well, and what was the deal with Tom Sizemore? I think he was a recovering addict, and Spielberg said the only way you can be in this, I think he did drug tests every day.
Wow.
And I think he got back on the wagon years later. But there was a mention that I think he played a DE agent in Point Blank, or not Point Blank, Point Break. Just like
the remake?
The older one.
The old one. Okay.
Yeah, he was a DEA agent. And he's hooked on drugs, and then by the Spielberg's like, yeah, no, you cannot be. So I think I'm pretty sure he was tested every single day in order to stay on this movie.
Wow. Paul Giamatti. I loved him in American Splendor.
Yeah. Yeah, we here in Canada try to make our own Saving Private Ryan called Passchendaele, and it was a World War I movie.
Oh,
more of one of it sort of was like a mix between Saving Private Ryan and like Titanic. It was like a love story, and it wasn't that great, but the whole action sequence at the end was, it was shot exactly the way Private Ryan shot it. Good, but for World War I, it was like one of those rare World War I movies that you hardly see.
Yeah, you don't see a ton of World War I movies, I guess, because people just don't. Well, I guess there's a reason they don't like that war, but it's
but they did. I'm pretty sure they did like a scene with the mustard gas and just showing how crazy that was, and like there were like no rules, and it was I'm trying to think of who directed it. You know who it was. Paul Gross. Yeah.
Oh.
So he directed it and acted in it. Do you remember the show Due South?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the Mountie in Due South. So
Okay.
yeah, but they made this movie. Yeah, and it came off more like a love story than anything. But it was pretty intense at the end.
Did you pick up the Blizzard of Souls soundtrack, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought that on a lark, and I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super talented.
Have you seen the film?
No, and I should, because well, how would you say it? I have Latvian blood in my body. I'm like it's a quarter or half Latvian. So like my grandparents are Latvian. They escaped from Latvian communism, and
wow,
the story of their escape is crazy. So yeah, they made their way to England, and then eventually they had their daughters, twins, and yeah, they moved when my mom was 7 to Canada, and that's where they stayed. So yeah, I have Latvian. I should watch it. Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. But I don't I don't really pay much attention to my Latvian heritage, and I guess I should.
Well, we all have we end up being in I guess it's always still part of us, but I
never learned the language. My grandmother tried, and I was just so stubborn. I think I could count to 10, but that was basically it. I never really embraced that side of, my family. So really odd. Yeah, this is a crazy scene too. I mean, everybody talks about the opening and closing battles, but some of the stuff in the middle is just as impactful.
I think this and Wade's death are two of the hardest.
And the great thing about Wade's death is you don't really see anything. No. I mean, it's that you expect to, right? But you're seeing it through a scope instead, and that's unexpected. Oh man, all the rain.
This is terrifying. I know that France, they said they lost an entire generation in World War I, right? Or almost. That was how bad it.
All of Europe lost an entire generation.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, another reason why they took all those filters off the lenses is they wanted to blow out the sky. So even though it was cloudy or sunny, you wouldn't see the sky. The sky would always stay the same. It would just be completely blown out. So you kind of get that atmosphere through the whole movie.
This is a good medic because he really wants to help his fallen comrade.
Mm-hmm.
God bless him.
I'm reminded.
Again, we have no music here.
That's right.
It's funny. I'm reminded of a quote that, Richard Roper would complain if a movie was too long, and Roger would say, "No good movie is too long, and no bad movie is too short." Okay.
Yeah.
And we're an hour into it. It doesn't even feel like it's been an hour. Okay, it's clipping along at such a good pace.
Man, they cast the guy with the bluest eyes, didn't they?
Well, like cobalt blue.
It was like, oh my god.
Yeah, those are pretty blue. I got blue eyes.
I have blue eyes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but someone really liked the blue eyes in Germany.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Oh, it's such a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just when he sees him flash.
Oh,
Right. Oh, jeez.
Well, he lost one of them.
Yeah.
Little girl goes back to her dad. Oh,
Yeah.
slap it.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, but I would hate to have a child in a war-torn country like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how miserable these guys would be shooting this. I mean, this is a long scene.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just constant rain.
And those uniforms are wool, which really absorb the water.
Mm. And don't the notes one person to the next, and it's the next person that dies?
Yep.
And the next person, it's a weird curse.
Yeah, that would. I'm trying to remember. We don't get a scene like I'm not taking those notes. You know, it's like I don't care. You know.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know. I'm remembering like one of my favorite movies of the last decade was Deepwater Horizon, and
so good.
yes, and there's a scene in it when like I think it's I don't think is it the Mark Wahlberg character or is it the other actor, but like he goes up to the one guy and he says we have to do this. And this guy's up there. I don't give a shit. The guy yells out, and I'm like. I want to criticize that guy because he's, you know, but at the same time, I'm not in a situation. Okay, it's a whole horrible situation to be in. So I don't know how I would react, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was one I wish I had seen on the big screen. That was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, me too. The only reason I did take a look at it is I thought it was just another dumb Mark Wahlberg picture. Is that it was like, oh, these special effects are supposed to be absolutely mind blowing, and I'm like, come on. I mean, how good are they? And it was like, jeez.
Yeah,
that was something else.
And it's
you're right. Yeah, that's right. Disaster movie.
It's a disaster movie, and I usually roll my eyes when I hear disaster movie. That's an excellent disaster movie. Oh,
I forgot about this scene.
Yes. Is this playing chicken? Let's play chicken. It's like, oh man. What's he saying? I wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
They just get wrecked. Man. Can you imagine being these guys, right? You hear all that gunfire and you think it's you.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Where did that come from?
Oh. Yeah, I do like Paul Giamatti a lot. He was John Adams in the John Adams series on HBO. I remember that.
That's right. And I had no idea this was Ted Danson until about the third time I saw it. It didn't even register with me.
I still need to watch From the Earth to the Moon. I'm thinking of other HBO series I haven't watched.
Yeah,
that's another
good one. Yeah. Another Tom Hanks produced series.
Yep. Because I figured that would be to Apollo 13 what this was
right.
to Band of Brothers was,
Yep. Just as good.
Yes.
Just as good.
I actually had the DVD set, and I think one of my discs stopped working, and then I just never got back into it. And I always meant to like repurchase it or at least check it out on streaming, and it just didn't happen. What's the soldier that speaks German's name again?
The actor?
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Was he in Gangs of New York, or am I thinking of somebody else?
The first time I saw him was in, or maybe recognized him again, was Lost.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in Lost, but his name is, where's the cast and crew? Come on. Where is he? Jeremy Davies. So I guess you have to
maybe he wasn't that. I know I've seen his face elsewhere. I'm just trying.
Davies or Davis?
Yeah.
Did I say Davies? Davies, right? With an E.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, he was in Twister. I forgot about that.
Oh, right. Okay.
So from Saving Private Ryan, he went on to Ravenous. Sorry, what was the series you were talking about?
No, I thought he was in Gangs of New York, but I might be confusing.
Oh, Gangs of New York.
Yeah, I might be confusing him with that guy that played Elliot in E.T., I think.
Oh, probably.
Henry Thomas.
They look,
yeah, they look. Yeah, you're right. They
I'm
look
confusing. They look
That's
similar.
right.
Yeah, they have a similar. Okay, because I know Henry Thomas was starting to show up in movies again around this time, and I was wondering. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Henry Thomas was in Gangs of New York.
Right.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who did he play?
Johnny Sirocco.
He was the DiCaprio's friend in that, like his childhood
Oh.
friend, I think. I'm sorry.
What a heartbreaking scene.
They got different Ryan, big foul up.
Yeah. But my brother's still alive.
Yeah. You know, Ryan's a pretty common last name, right?
Yep.
It's like it's
You know, Tom Hanks went very far from where he started.
mhm.
I remember when he was, what was the show? He was in the apartment. He had to dress up like a girl to get the apartment.
Yeah.
Booze and Buddies.
Yeah, Bosom Buddies.
Was that Booze and Buddies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that show growing up, but I never would have thought I guess he's like the actor of his generation at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the 80s, he struggled quite a bit, and I think into the 90s, he wasn't doing great stuff, and it was Philadelphia that really
then Forrest Gump, and then
turned him into that dramatic actor that everybody
Apollo 13,
loves.
and then Saving Private Ryan, and
Because Tom Hanks did get starring roles in comedies in the 80s. I remember that, like he was in the infamous Joe versus the Volcano, which I've never seen, but everyone at the time said how horrendous that movie was.
Well, yeah.
But I remember he was in The Money Pit. I like that. I love The Burbs. And
Burbs is one of his best roles.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But then he did Bonfires of the Vanities, and that just flopped big time. But that he did Big. He gets an Academy Award nomination for Big, right? So he's more of a comedic actor, and that's basically where he started. So of course he's getting pigeonholed, right? And then then you pop him into Philadelphia. I'm trying to think of what he did just before that would have anybody think, well, let's Sleepless in Seattle, League of Their Own. I mean, I think League of Their Own was kind of like his back because that was a small role. It wasn't a very, very big role.
Yeah,
but he was coming off. Yeah, like Turner and Hooch. Well, I mean, I guess that was a hit, right?
I saw Turner and the Hooch in the theaters. Yeah, like I knew who Tom Hanks was in the 80s because he would show up. I saw Turner and the Hooch in the theaters. I saw Big in the theaters as well. So I knew Tom Hanks. He was.
But did anybody think of him as a 2-time Academy Award winner, this beloved American actor?
I saw him as
a 2-time Academy Award winner. Yeah.
I saw him as a comedic actor. That's how I saw him in the 80s. That's why I thought it was kind of odd when he was in that Philadelphia movie. It's like, it's kind of like when Jim Carrey, like, I'm going to be in a dramatic role. It's like, but I'm used to you being the comic relief, the comedic actor,
And I think it's more of it's just what he was in and what we were kind of used to. We were kind of used to that lighter fare, and I didn't know that side was in him. And I know all comedians. I mean, it's hard to be a comedian. It's hard to make people laugh. I mean, but it's just, do you see, Robin Williams, he finally got into some, dramatic roles and he was very good at it. I think Jim Carrey's very good too. But it's just like once you're thinking of him in these, Bachelor Party and the Man with One Red Shoe and Volunteers and like his 80s lineup is so strange. I mean, they're not huge hits. He's not a huge star, but then Jonathan Demme takes a chance on him in Philadelphia and all of a sudden, boom, career explodes. I mean, how many Spielberg movies has he been in?
A lot.
Quite a bit.
A lot. I mean, I brought up point I saw, and he was in Greyhound most recently. I think that was the one in News of the World. I think that just came out.
Yes.
News of the World. I'm getting that on Blu-ray. Actually, I did decide to order that. I'm taking a chance, but I've heard good things about it, so I'm just gonna do a blind buy on that. But Greyhound, I got to see because I ended up getting a new Mac last year, so I ended up getting a free year subscription to Apple TV Plus, and I'm like, what's on Apple TV Plus? Oh, Greyhound. Okay, So, but it was good. It was more like naval type battles. It's not. I'm not going to say it's on the level of this, but it's at least a good World War II movie. And at 90 minutes, it doesn't overstay its welcome. I'd say it's worth checking out. But
I wanted to give it a chance, and I just never. I mean, I too got some sort of yearly subscription to Apple TV. I don't know why.
You might have bought an iPad or an iPhone.
Well, someone bought something and then used my email address and they're like, "Congratulations, you got a free year." And I'm like, "Huh?" So I actually contacted Apple and I said, "What's going on?" They're like, "Well, someone bought something under your account, so you got the free 1 year. Go ahead." And I'm like, "Great." So,
well, check it out. It's especially if you're an Apple TV Plus subscriber. You get to see the naval side of World War II, how they were really excellent, and the wolf packs that I guess were what they called the German U-boats that they actually hunted the ships in packs, which I didn't realize. And they're going after just because they're trying to transport, cargo and supplies over to the other side. And the wolf packs were merciless. They were terrifying, actually, in a way. So it's interesting seeing the naval side of things because, of course, we're seeing land in this movie. But
right,
it was good if you want to see like the naval side of World War II. It's good. At 90 minutes, it goes at like I said, if it had been a longer movie, I might have gotten annoyed. But at 90 minutes, I think it's just right. Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, but I like how Giovanni Ribisi is copying the letter. I guess because you don't really want to give the bloodstained letter to the family, right?
Right.
That would not be good. No.
Sir Ian brings up the point. Burbs had a great Goldsmith score.
Totally. Absolutely, it did.
I forgot that was Goldsmith. Goldsmith did everything. It's like I keep thinking Morricone is the most prolific, but I don't know. Goldsmith did a lot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. It's funny you brought up Morricone because Goldsmith did his best kind of Morricone impersonation in that score as well. But it's a weird, wacky. He has this odd theme for the dog that runs around the neighborhood, and it's like this chirping dog theme. It's the weirdest thing in the world. And I think everything that Goldsmith did for Joe Dante was just gold, absolute gold. And it was the weirdest stuff he'd ever written. And sometimes it was the most inspiring stuff he'd ever written. I mean, the Explorers theme is sensational.
Oh yeah.
Incredible stuff. But
That's still in my head. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It's so innocent, that time where you're a kid. And I mean, that's when I grew up, right? And so I'm watching Explorers and E.T. and all these kids having these great adventures, the Goonies, and I'm like, that's me on screen, man. These are the things I want to do. I want to build a spaceship. I want to find pirate treasure.
Yeah,
I want to find an alien. Me and my buddies were BMX bikers, and it was like my whole life was on screen in the 80s, and it was fantastic. And it was, scored by these great composers with these wonderful themes that just stuck with me forever. I don't know whether kids have things like that to this day. I mean, they're trying to bring that nostalgia back, but I think that's more for us than it is for kids. I mean, do kids have movies like this?
I don't know. I know the last big thing that I know the kids were into was Harry Potter. That was a big thing for the millennial generation. But I don't know what's even going on with kids now. Like, what are they like?
Yeah, because I mean, my son's 15 and my daughter's turning 12. I mean, the big thing for her is Stranger Things.
Yes,
and she's loving that. Which is great. So maybe that's her kind of thing. But then again, that's a 80s nostalgia hit for people like my age, in your 40s. And it's like, that's what takes you back. But she's just enjoying it for the sake of enjoying it. Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I've heard it said, like, you get fascinated. NPR did something on this about how, like, people, like with the people that were making the show Mad Men, they didn't grow up in the 60s, but they're making a show about it because you get fascinated by the decade that existed before you were born. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I'm obsessed with the 70s, especially what was going on in Europe in the 70s. And I think you end up getting, and that could be what it is for these young kids. They didn't grow up in the 80s, but maybe they're still fascinated by it because they didn't experience it. Do you understand? Yeah, and that's what, because I know even at the library, Stranger Things is big on the teenage set that come in. Yeah, they're big fans because I work at a public library. But yeah, it's.
But I'm wondering what that kind of movie that's they're going to watch with their kids and go, that on and like I was a Goonie. I was one of the Explorers. You kind of related to the what movies there are for kids these days where they're like, I relate to that.
The only thing I know is when I was in the writing program, I had to do a writing lesson for kids in grade school, which was oddly enough because I was teaching like the college students. So I went over, but it was like a thing we all did. So I went over one day and I found out I did like the whole man versus self or character versus self society, the conflicts, right? And I did it with superheroes, and all the kids in the class lit up because they all knew, like Iron Man and all them, because the Marvel movies were still big at that moment. So I think those were big. I think Hunger Games was a big thing. That like some of the young adult stuff was big too. But yeah, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So here we are. We're in a wounded camp.
Yeah, that's rough.
A really good World War I movie. Have you ever seen it? It's all black and white, All Quiet on the Western Front.
I have not seen that.
That's another one I had to watch.
Old school movie.
It's an old school movie. It holds up pretty well. And I could be wrong. I think it's from the German point of view, right? In World War I, and it's just the horrors of being in war. Yeah, and in fact, that might have been made before World War I. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just amazing how there isn't so many movies made about that, because there are just so many interesting things to be said about that time and just how different it was. I mean, they throw it into other films like War Horse was. Yeah. I mean, you sort of get to see No Man's Land, but just kind of like as a side adventure in other movies, like even Wonder Woman. But it's you would think that 1917 would be something that would maybe turn them on, like Legends of the Fall did it really well.
I remember that. Yeah. The guy getting caught in the barbed wire. And,
Yeah,
I remember that.
That's horrific, but it's
Yeah.
just everybody seems to be focused on World War II. And I'm not I think just it would be fascinating to see more tales from that time.
In fact, it was interesting because Benedict Cumberbatch was in Warhorse. Then he shows up at the end of 1917. And I kept wondering, could this be the same character from that movie?
Oh, right.
This is him. Oh, like toward the near the end. Like in that he was more naive about what they were really up against. Like they were charging on horses, and it's like you don't do that with machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like. And like now he's more jaded, and now it's like years later, and we're still going on. And I kept wondering if, I mean, it probably isn't the same character, obviously, but I kind of like to think it might be. Yeah, from Warhorse.
Ian brings up the Blue Max, which is another Goldsmith score, which is a wonderful Goldsmith score. If
it is,
anyone has not listened to that, do yourself a favor.
It's too bad that one. You know, when they talk about film scores that get chewed up and spit out, and man, they just someone fell in love with a main theme and decided, we're going to play that during the entire movie. Goldsmith wrote so much good stuff that went unused. It's too bad. It is really too bad. But that's a great movie. It's a really good movie. I mean, that's a beautiful movie to watch. It's wonderfully photographed. But yeah, the score gets mangled, and it's one of Goldsmith's best, in my opinion.
I haven't seen the film, but I've got like every printing of the soundtrack that's out there.
Yeah, the Philharmonia one that Robert Townsend produced, that he did a 16 minute suite of Blue Max. It's never sounded better. And I mean, I love the Tadlow re-recording, but that one in particular, Mike Ross Trevor recorded it, and it's dynamite. It's a great album. And it was like a limited edition album, and then it was released by Silva Screen again. I think it was called like Goldsmith Conducts Goldsmith or something like that. So it's easy to find now. But I think it was it was like a Masters Film Special edition released back in the 80s.
Do you have the new like reissue they did with La La Land Goldsmith at 20th Century Fox? I think it's on the second volume.
Yeah. So that's like the 30th version of Blue Max I have. Yeah. It's like one of the most re-released soundtracks ever. It sounds, I mean, it's tough to, like, you know, there's the original Columbia Legacy album, or actually it was the original album on LP. Then I think Columbia Legacy did a expanded version. I think Varese did a version, and people really like the way that sounds.
Yep. I've got
There's a whole bunch of different releases, but I think Entrada did a great job with theirs. Or no, La La Land. Oh God, I can't remember it. La La Land's looks great, like with the original soundtrack, the original score before they coupled it in their new set. But yeah, I still find myself going back to like the Tadlow re-recording or that Philharmonia recording. Just better sound, still wonderfully performed, still using the wind machine, which is great. So it sounds authentic. And I really do prefer more modern recordings if I can get them, and if they're done well.
Oh, good night, Melissa.
Thank you for coming by, as always, Melissa.
I'm trying to think.
Sir Ian, I know it's late for you. You're quite the warrior. I always appreciate you staying up for us.
The time changes everywhere. You know,
I like here that they're showing how young these guys are.
Well, they were young. It's
because you don't really get the sense of the age with this group. You think of them just a little bit older, but you know, these kids
like in their
20s
at that point. Yeah, but like these guys they could be fresh out of high school. I mean,
that's exactly it.
All my uncles, they graduated high school, they walked across the stage, and they were given their orders to ship out for the war.
Wow.
The entire class.
Which
That's
war?
How it was.
Which war?
World War II.
World War II. Okay. I didn't have any. I had an uncle I had an uncle by marriage who fought in World War II, but he's the only one. For some reason, my family, they always seem to miss. Like my dad and my two uncles, they were in the Air Force, but they were post Korean War, but prior, really before Vietnam started kicking up. So they didn't see any of that, but they were in the Air Force.
Yeah, my grandfather was stationed in England. He was a mechanic, so he got to work on all the planes.
Oh, well, that's
where he fell in love with like the Spitfire and the Lancaster and things of that sort. So he wasn't in battle, but he was fixing planes. That's where he met his wife, my grandmother, and they eventually made their way back to Canada and had a family. So
cool.
Yeah.
Did he still work on planes when he got back to Canada?
No, he didn't. No, he admired them. Cool. I mean, we had the Warplane Museum in town in Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh.
And so the collection of aircraft that they have there, I mean, I don't know when it opened, but I mean, the stuff that we have now, I mean, just to walk in and you could touch the Lancaster and you can walk underneath to see where they put the 9,000 pound bomb. And I mean, you can fly it. You can fly in it if you want. You can pay for it. I almost had a chance. Yeah, almost had a chance to. Since I'm in video, and my wife works for a helicopter magazine, and we were at an air show and they flew in the Lancaster, and we almost had a chance to fly in it. So instead, we chartered a helicopter and we flew next to it, which was pretty spectacular. This thing is just it just sounds beautiful. And so when I lived in Hamilton, I don't live there anymore. They used to just take it out for test flights, and it was like the whole city would just stop and run outside and listen and watch this thing fly over your house. It was it was such a privilege because again, there's only 2 of them that fly in the world. There's 3 that are still around, but yeah, there's only 2 that fly. The Lancaster sister aircraft is in England somewhere. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see this aircraft that nobody else gets a chance to see just kind of fly around. Like one afternoon on a Tuesday, you're like, oh, there are those engines. And sometimes we'd fly with a Spitfire or fly with something else, but it was, yeah, it's a pretty amazing machine. It's a beast. Those things were huge.
Oh,
and, yeah, but they're super impressive aircraft.
I know I was at a warplane museum recently too. I just don't remember where. I keep thinking it might have been in Florida somewhere. It was years ago. We went to a warplane museum. It was either in Florida or was in Georgia. I'm trying to remember now where. It might have actually been in a space center somewhere. I don't remember now. I have a T-shirt from there though. I'll have to find out. I've been on. I've gone inside submarines from this period.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They're crowded.
Yeah, they're interesting though. Or in battleships.
They're crowded. Let's say that.
Yeah, I've done the submarine. I've done a battleship too. The battleship is interesting because they'd always point to these canisters. This is where they kept the bug juice, and I kept thinking, what's bug juice? That doesn't sound appetizing. Is that like Kool-Aid or something? Is that like what is that? It's like, but they like I saw a mess hall like on a battleship. I think it's just I don't know.
Did you go on the USS Alabama?
Possibly. I don't remember now.
They got the Alabama battleship and then they got the sub.
No, I don't think it was it wasn't in Alabama, but it was. Okay. I've been on a battleship before. Yeah, it's they need to check out.
Sir Ian. H Boomer says the 4K Blu-ray looks phenomenal.
Hey, Blu-ray is always nice. I have yet to step into the 4K world, but I perfectly great for you that you do. In fact, I know Suspiria got released on 4K recently because I was waiting for that to get released on Blu-ray, and then now they announced a 4K version. I'm wondering if at some point, like. Nah, they'll probably keep making DVD for a while. They haven't gotten rid of it because I kept thinking that would be phased out. But what I am noticing now, though, certain movies are only coming to 4K, but they'll also come with a regular Blu-ray with them. Because I think Six String Samurai got announced for a 4K release. I used to have that on DVD. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Six String Samurai.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting though. I'm watching this again, like for the first time. It's on streaming. I'm not sure whether it's different or whether because I'm watching it on my computer, but I'm just noticing that the colors are way more saturated than what I remember them being.
Me too.
There's just way more skin tone, way more color. There's just more. I don't know what it is. It seems crisper and just there's great color separation. Whereas before, I wasn't catching that. I mean, I think they desaturated about 60% of this movie, but it's still the way I'm watching it right now on Prime. It's still very colorful.
No, because I'm watching the DVD and it looks good for a DVD, but I was kind of. I don't think the DVD is as colorful as what you're seeing on Prime, and of course, this was released right after the movie came out, and I'm wondering if they've done remastering.
They might have recolored it. Who knows? It's possible. I mean, they do it anyway. You know, Star Wars has been recolored how many times, and it just looks worse and worse every time it gets done.
I remember because I remember that one reissue when they said, "Oh, we've cleaned it up in THX." Remember that? That was right before the special editions came out. I remember they released the Laserdisc copies.
Yeah, those still look good. I mean, they were still. That was proper color. Everything is kind of this weird pinkish bluish hue to them. I'm like, what is happening?
I remember people screaming bloody murder about the French Connection got recolored on Blu-ray, and people were furious at Friedkin. They were saying, "What did you do, William Friedkin?" They so I just got the regular DVD of that one because I figured he hadn't messed with the color on the old DVD. But I'm sure this looks good, and I'm sure Spielberg would be careful with the color, though. I don't think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. The change that I'm witnessing doesn't seem to be. I find it almost a nice improvement, but then again, I have memories of just watching this on, like on DVD, standard def, watching it in the theater, and just not remembering it being this crisp and this clear. And as much as Ian said the same thing, it's a grainy, rough film, but it still looks stunning in 4K. And there's details I'm seeing that I just don't remember it being so clean in. I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think. It's weird because, like, would seeing a movie in the theater back then be close to what I guess full HD would be now? That'd be like 2K or I don't know. I know that they say that they can, with most movies shot on film, they can get it up to almost 4K. Old movies. And especially if it's practical effects. They said they were actually going to have a problem with the first run Marvel movies because they said the effects were not mastered for 4K because they were using a lot of CG and they were not mastered for 4K.
Right.
So I don't know how they'd have to go back and redo
that was
those
the issue they were
effects.
having with like Attack of the Clones, I think, because that was shot HD. It was 1080. Everything's 1080. So I mean, you can definitely upscale, and there's a lot of. I mean, heck, I got a program that upscales 1080 to 4K, and it looks great. I mean,
Sure.
But I mean, the fact that they shot that whole thing 1080 and it's like, all right, now you want to blow that thing up to 4K. That's really tough, especially in the digital world. In the film world, it's a little easier because you're scanning each frame, right? But in the digital world, you're stuck with what you got.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That was a big deal at the time. That wasn't, and I remember Spielberg complaining, like people were complaining. I think it was like, if it was a digital projection, they said it was a better experience than if you saw it like, I guess, a film transfer of it. I think that people were saying that at the time. Oh, this is hard to watch. Okay.
It is.
I think when I was younger and I heard the phrase "fog of war," is this what they're talking about? Because the way everything looks in the area.
Yeah. Again, I couldn't imagine filming this thing over and over again, right?
No.
It'd be like maybe do 2 or 3 takes, set up multiple cameras, and maybe it must be hard on Giovanni Ribisi. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to repeat this death scene.
Yeah, I guess if you're just dedicated to the craft, you just keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
Same with what was that thing they used to say about Kubrick? He would shoot the same scene 100 times or something.
Yeah, like 70 times.
Yeah.
Like what was it famous? Who quit Eyes Wide Shut because they were shooting so much, and then they brought in Albert Was it Albert Brooks? No,
I think so.
Is it Albert
No.
Brooks? They brought it
I'm
was
not sure.
Harvey Keitel. I think it was Harvey Keitel.
Oh, really?
It had it. He just flat out quit. And so they had to get somebody in emergency, and that's who they got. Yeah, because he would shoot 60, 70 takes. And he's like, we already got it. But he would just keep doing it. Perfectionist, I guess.
I heard with The Abyss, Mary Elizabeth Monstrantonio eventually just got so fed up with James Cameron because she was lying there on the cold floor with her top off, and she's like, I'm done with this. I'm done.
Wow.
And she walked off. But that movie had a lot of production problems with it.
It did. It was 16, 18 hours in that tank a day shooting and
no bathroom breaks.
no, right in your suit. Yeah. I mean, the guy is dedicated to his craft for sure, but man, does he torture his actors. But he creates great stuff. That's the thing. It's really good. And
Mama.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just it's not so much it's just you have all those guys around you too, right? And man, it's what a great scene, what a great job. A lot of pressure there to make that work. You wouldn't want to wake up that day and say, you know what, I'm filming this today. How do you get around that sort of stuff? I mean, that's where, like, I remember Spielberg he'd be shooting Schindler's List and he'd have such a rough day that Rob Williams would phone him up for like 4 or 5 hours and just try to make him laugh or distract him. Couldn't get through it.
Remember Rob Williams, yeah. And oh wait, here we got the scene. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do?
Sir Ian's correct. It's a very devastating scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not in a good mood right now for what just happened too. This is not.
And it's just like devil's advocate here. Who would have just shot this guy and just moved on?
I don't know.
I think the emotions were running wild. You wouldn't have gone up and just kicked him. You would have shot him in the face, and that was it. It's over.
Yeah.
It's done. But
and I would not judge anyone in those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it a war crime, but all wars are crimes. I mean, they're horrible.
Yeah, but this was an enemy that definitely needed to be stopped, and this.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah.
I know you're not. So what you're saying. I'm just. It's hard because this is. But what is easy citing rules of war? What are the rules of engagement at this point?
Right.
Well, I mean, you let him go, he can give away your position.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's unarmed too. So what do you do? It's like. Again,
you're still in your mission, right? Like, how do you have a prisoner of war? I mean, I guess you
can't.
Drop
What are you going to do? Take
place,
him with
right?
you?
Yeah,
you would drop him off at the next place, but no, you're not. I mean, think about it. They're not. The guy starts talking about Steamboat Willie. I remember that.
Yeah,
it's like, I love American stuff. Yeah. You could say I like apple strudel too, but I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
This is a really good scene for Tom Hanks right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Daniel, which is better, apple strudel or apple pie?
The baked apples at Cracker Barrel.
What?
You ever had the baked apples at Cracker Barrel?
The fried apples.
The fried apples, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not a dessert, they're a side.
Okay. I don't think we've ever had a show where we haven't mentioned Cracker
This is
Barrel.
wrong. I feel bad now for laughing, and he's in pain. Okay, and he can't show this in front of the men.
he gave an interview with James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio back in the 90s or early 2000s. And James Lipton asked him, "Is there anything about your character in Saving Private Ryan that we don't know?" And Tom Hanks said, "Well, in my mind, he gets letters from home and he reads them once and then he tears them up because he has to just keep going on." And that struck me as interesting because, if someone writes me a letter, I tend to keep it forever.
No, that was a thing in one of the stories in the Things We Carried, where the guy kept thinking about the girl left at home, what she's been up to, and then one of his men gets killed, and he thinks he's being too stupid, focused on stupid things, and he needs to be focused on being the commander. And he says, no more of this. That was like a thing in the story. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe you have to detach yourself a bit. I don't know. See, because what do you do though? Because then you're shooting him in cold blood, but is it cold blood? Because it's war. It's this big, and of course it comes back to bite them anyway, right? So it's like,
yeah.
So
well, I mean, I'm not saying you tie him up to a post and use him for bayonet practice. I'm just Japanese did that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm saying at that moment after Wade died, someone had a pistol or a rifle, and someone would have pulled the trigger, and he would have died, and that would have been it.
Oh, look at this! Yeah. He's cussing out the Fuhrer.
I mean, I guess you do anything to try to save your life, right?
Yeah,
and, it works. That's the thing; it works.
I know, and then, like I said, it comes back to bite them.
Yeah,
so
it comes back to bite them.
It was probably the wrong decision, or was it the wrong decision? It's this big thing you play around your head, right?
Yeah,
and I just don't know.
I guess aside from war itself, he's like the true villain of this film because he shows back up at the end.
According to a friend of mine who said he found out what the guy was saying in German when he gets the one guy, and he was saying, "You're just going to go to sleep." I almost think, well, we'll get to that scene later. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's almost an apology. I still haven't seen Captain Corelli's mandolin.
I haven't either.
Okay, I guess everyone skipped that one. It was Nicolas Cage. It was I guess he's an Italian soldier in World War II. I didn't get to see it. Okay. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. Okay. Actually, there's another movie, though, I saw. What was the World War II movie with Brad Pitt and the tank?
Fury.
Okay.
Really good.
There's a similar scene in Fury where the one American soldier is hiding underneath and a German soldier looks underneath, and he could have just popped him right there, and he just leaves him alone, So I'm wondering, it's weird, it's like, this actor reminds me of Ben Affleck, but it's not Ben Affleck. I'm just
right.
It's like it shouldn't have been Ben Affleck. That would have been bad because him and Matt Damon in the partner thing. No. We don't want them in this movie together yet. But it's
well, that's funny. It's this came out right after Good Will Hunting, but it was being filmed around that same time, so nobody knew. I mean, people knew who Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were. I mean, but they weren't big stars yet. And so that's why there was everybody's like, you mean Steven Spielberg hesitated on casting Matt Damon? Well, yeah, he wasn't who he was until after Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, they won the award for the screenplay. I think it was best original screenplay.
Yep.
And then Matt Damon broke up with his girlfriend on Oprah Winfrey. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He was dating
Minnie Driver.
Yeah. And he went on Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah Winfrey asked him about it, and he's like, "No, I'm going to break up with her."
Oh,
it's like, damn!
I never saw that.
I'm like, you just give her my phone number because I won't be breaking up with her. Like,
oh man, I remember. Oh, I knew they broke up.
yeah, he did it on national TV.
And I think Gwyneth was wanting to set him up with Winona Ryder at the time. I think I remember that was a thing, but that didn't go anywhere or didn't have. I don't know. Anyway, what are we talking about here? Okay, I was the coach on the baseball team in the springtime. He's talking about. Now, did you say you thought that this was it the music cue or was it the reveal?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't remember how much of the music was actually used in this scene.
Because. Now he's older than they are. I mean, like, what would his age be in this? Is he in his 40s at least? I would think, or
that. Yeah.
And he was a high school teacher,
late 30s.
Yeah. Did he have war experience? Is that what they brought him back, or is it just anyone who could be in the armies at this point?
Anyone who could be in the army.
Okay. That's what it was, because I think my grandfather on my mother's side, he was working for Merck, so they needed, he was allowed to stay behind to because they were making the medicine. Okay, but
yeah, the music kind of understated here, but it could almost be that saccharine point. You know what I mean? Like, does it really need to be here? It's understated enough. It doesn't hit that kind of like overly sweet moment yet, but I still feel like you don't necessarily need it because of what was happening.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and I'll get into trouble with certain Spielberg fans. What's the argument? I used to hear my friends say it, like, Spielberg lingers on sentiment, as will stick sentimentality in movies, and it's something that always bothers me a little bit about because everything else I love about Spielberg movies, especially when the sentimentality is misplaced. And here it doesn't linger too long where I'm annoyed by it, but it can get overwhelming. Like his segment in the Twilight Zone movie is all sentimentality. It's like, oh.
No, I agree.
I
agree. There are times where, like, War of the Worlds for me was pretty friggin' amazing up until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's not so much of like none of it made sense. I got it. I understood the story, but it was just he needed to have that warm family reunion, which would have been impossible because his son was incinerated. There's no way he survives that. And then when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, it didn't need that. There needed to be that sacrifice. Come on, Spielberg, just do it. And
I know.
Like, you don't have to make E.T. each and every time, man. I mean, E.T. needed it. E.T. got it. And that's exactly what E.T. needed it. But I don't need that huge happy ending every single time.
Because up until then, it was like a horror movie. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's like, yes.
But then the son came back and I'm like, are you serious? You're gonna pull this one,
and then he meets the ex-wife's new husband who's smiling, and like everyone's getting along, and it's
all staged. It's all staged. They're all standing in perfect spots. They got their hands around each other, and it was so perfect. Like, you're right. No. Because people have to die here. Yeah,
like the War of the Worlds is one of my favorite books, and that adaptation I thought was pretty good, and I love the part like when they're at the docks and like the guy pulls the gun on him, get out of the car, need the car, and of course he gives the car over, but that's not going to do him any good because the crowd just goes after him next, because everybody wants that car.
It is such a good movie up until that point. It's much like it's another movie where like at the last few seconds it's ruined. Unbreakable, which might be M. Night Shyamalan's best movie, and just at the end of that movie, it's all of a sudden they put up these title cards that tells you what happens at the end. And I'm like, no.
Oh, goes to jail,
Just-
that sort of thing.
Right? Yeah. Just let it hang. Let them shake hands or let them move, let them leave, and then just fade to black. And it's the beginning. That's the origin story. Now it's just, we'll make it up in our mind. And it was all of a sudden these 3 title cards hit, and it was like, here's the whole story. And I'm like, oh no. You don't have to tell us everything.
Because I like the reveal of him being Mr. Glass, like he's the supervillain. And I was like, oh, it's been staring us in the face all along.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's kind of like how Samuel L. Jackson, we're kind of respecting him a little bit, because like we all have that dark side, right? We don't get annoyed with other people. And then you're like, but no, he's the villain, so watch yourself. Like you identify with both characters in that movie, the Bruce Willis and the Samuel L. Jackson, and you realize we both can have those polars, I think, sometime. But yeah, but don't
spoil. Those things are just like, you don't need to tell me everything. You don't. You can just let the ending hang, and we can make up our own stories as to what happened with these guys. But I was like, oh man, those last 30 seconds are just so disappointing. But,
what can you do?
But yeah,
you can ignore it.
And the thing is, we talk about that because that could be related to this movie a bit, because at the end it's that
with the old man in the
cemetery. The old man in the cemetery.
Yes, I know. With his,
you know what I mean?
With his perfect granddaughters, you know. It's like
I'm like, you don't have to do that. We get it. You don't have to. But
it's Spielberg's. It's one of his bad signatures. Like everything else is great, except when he goes for the sentimentality. And stop.
I mean, there's times where movies, like, that's what it is. That's what the movie's about. You kind of expect that, and that kind of warm, happy feeling is earned. But you're right. There's other times where it's just so out of place, and it becomes cheesy, and you just can't. I don't know why he goes there constantly.
I mean, I don't
know. The thing is, and that could have happened. Go ahead.
Oh no, that could happen. What? Go ahead. I can save it. It's fine. You're just gonna say that could have happened. What?
Oh, I know. I was waiting for you. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm having internet trouble. Okay, that's what the issue. Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I remember seeing the Jurassic World, and it wasn't directed by Steven Spielberg, and I was thinking, this is Jurassic Park without the sentimentality. That was what popped in my head when I first saw that. But
maybe that's my second problem with that film.
It's okay. I know some people do not like Jurassic World, and that's fine. I loved it, and I know some people probably don't, and maybe I'm being called a Philistine now, but I did.
Millions of people loved it.
Yeah, it's okay if you didn't. No, I'm not judging.
Yeah,
but I had a big grin on my face during that whole movie,
right.
Because I thought, this is completely ridiculous. They would make a new park, and all these people would flood to it.
Right?
Who would you get to insure that park? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't know. Well, why do you think the beers cost so much? Like, I noticed the guy running back for the beer after the pterodactyl says, "Hey, I paid like $200 for that beer." I'm sorry. We're talking though. We have Matt Damon here finally, right?
We do, and we don't have a theme for him or anything playing.
No, there's only two. There's one main melody, and that's it. It's just an overarching. Well, I think it's for Captain Miller, but that's not true either, because the first time you hear it, it's played over top of the beach scene, and then the close up onto the backpack that says Ryan.
Yeah.
But it's played during the high school scene, and it's played again right at the end of the movie, the last cue, the final battle. So I'm not sure whose theme it is, but it is the main theme. And then, of course, as I said, Hymn of the Fallen is kind of like this standalone, memorial piece for everybody that fought in the war.
Now, you call it like a standalone piece. Would you say the same for Remembrance from Schindler's List and Dry Your Tears, Africa, and Prayer for Peace from Munich, and Malice Towards None from Lincoln? They're kind of all standalone pieces.
I would. Well, the thing is about Hymn of the Fallen is you don't hear it in the movie anywhere else.
Sure.
Dry Your Tears, Africa, you hear it in one key sequence at the end where they're liberating what's it called? One of the forts. And so that's played over top of that. So it's actually in the movie itself. Malice Towards Men, isn't that just the main theme itself for the movie?
I would think of it as
sometimes.
The main theme.
I mean, sometimes he does create concerts suites, right, for particular piece, separate piece that isn't related to anything else in the score proper. It's this brand new, with the exception of the main title. I think you hear the snare drum rhythm during the main title for Hymn to the Fallen, but I don't think you hear the melody at all throughout the rest of the score. So it just stands on its own. And I think Williams did that purposefully. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be like you only hear that theme in the end credits and nowhere else. And I can't think of an example right now. What was the other one you mentioned? Munich?
Prayer for Peace from Munich. But yeah. I still feel like there's parts of that scattered throughout the score.
Yeah, and that's its own kind of like, that's the concert piece that he would create, that he would then eventually play in a concert, but have it as a standalone piece that you would also hear just on the album. So Williams is notorious for that. I mean, the entire first release of E.T.'s all rejigged concert versions of everything, with the exception of the last cue, The Adventures on Earth. And but yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that he wrote that just kind of like is never heard anywhere else except Untitled. So I don't think it's been done. I can't even think of anybody else that. I'm trying to think of anybody else that has done that.
So where is this right now in the movie, location-wise?
This is France.
Yeah, I know it's France. Is there a particular?
It's a made-up town for the film.
Okay.
According to what the internet told me, and the internet's never lied to me before.
Please. Isn't there like a thing like IMBD has so much stuff wrong? I don't know. It's like,
well, I mean, there's the battle coming up. The tanks apparently all wrong. Anybody that's totally into World War II history just went absolutely crazy on the tanks, because they're not actual. Either Panzers or Tiger tanks, whichever they used one to replace the other one, and everybody was like, well, those aren't the real tanks they used. And so,
well,
all right.
I don't know what to say to that.
I don't know either, but it didn't bother me.
As long as they don't like whip out a Glock, I'm okay.
I mean, Mel Gibson isn't Scottish, but I still enjoyed Braveheart.
Yeah,
there you go.
None of that is totally real. Historically accurate, though. Everything happened exactly as it is in the film.
Exactly.
Yeah. What, the King of Ireland showing up or something to help them out? What was it though? I loved the movie Sicario when I saw it, and I saw that in theater by accident. I was just looking for something to see, and then of course people later were complaining about like the way the guy was holding the gun, or like it wasn't loaded properly, how it should have been. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. It looked real to me. Okay, Sicario.
That movie was pretty legit for the most part.
Okay, well, somebody was complaining. Maybe it was about how the I forget what office of the government was in there, but like they wouldn't have done something differently. I don't know. There was some complaint about it. I forgot what it was, but I remember hearing someone complain about Sicario. I was like, "Why? It worked for me." I'm just saying. Mel, what was that World War II movie Mel Gibson directed recently with
Hacksaw Ridge?
Hacksaw Ridge, yes. That has some brutal Pacific theater battles in it. Oh,
the entire Pacific was brutal.
Yeah, but no, watching that, and you're looking at these two two sides that like there's a scene where you get to see the visceral hate between the American and the Japanese soldier. It's
Oh, you're a big Eastwood fan. Did you watch the Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima?
It's weird. I'm so, but I have so many movies I have to catch up on. My sister got me the set, and I watched Memoirs of Iwo Jima. No. Letters from Iwo Jima. Letters from Iwo Jima.
Letters from Iwo Jima.
I watched that one, and I meant to watch Flags after, and I never got around because I figured I was going to watch that with people I knew because that was more the mainstream Hollywood movie. Whereas Letters was all it's from the Japanese point of view, and I think they were shot around the same time, right? Weren't they using like the same sets and everything, which I thought was fascinating. That's a fascinating way to make a couple of movies. But I need to watch Flags of Our Fathers. Maybe I'll. You know what? I've been on a Clint Eastwood kick this year. I'm going to add that, even though I don't think he's in it. He directed it, so we'll count it. We'll count it. Okay. So I've been watching a lot of Eastwood movies this year. What did I watch recently? Tightrope. I never saw that before. I watched that for the first time the other week. But is this the sticky bombs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is another cue that it's probably the most kind of like typical Williams preparation battle music. You can hear this in other films that he's done.
I remember going to Universal Orlando Halloween Horror Nights one year, and I saw the Bill and Ted show, and they were making it. I think Ted makes a joke about having a sticky bomb. Oh, I blew up! Like it was like not cool, dude. It's like it was right after this movie came out. They made a sticky bomb joke. Because I know the one guy gets shredded. I'm just.
So the town that we're in is the fictional town of Ramel.
Okay.
And so this is supposed to be Murderé, some river located in just outside of Normandy, France. So that's what they kind of based it on.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's believable to me.
Yeah, it's a real town that they built.
That won't be a tourist destination anytime soon.
No.
Well, actually, it might if they kept the set around from the movie.
If they kept the set, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, in this book, I wish I could show you the whole thing, but they took this great picture of the whole entire set.
Could you imagine turning this?
So this is the they usually came up with they usually the photographs, sort of the making of Saving Private Ryan. Cool. So got it at this. I usually get these all the time. Like I got the making of Jurassic Park, and so this just has quotes from the screenplay, and then quotes from the cast and crew, and photographs by David James. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Really great book.
I have the one for Grindhouse. They did it's this big making of Grindhouse, and I think it has the screenplay in it too.
Yeah, I love those books. I used to get them all the time, but couldn't afford it after a while.
Yeah,
so many of them, so many. Like all the I do remember. I don't know if you ever got the Star Wars ones that came out that just have like every single pile of information, little detail you can find. They're about yay thick. They did Star Wars, Empire, Jedi. They did one for Indiana Jones, but it's all 4 movies in one book.
We have something like that in the library. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about. I think there's like an Art of Star Wars in there. Yeah.
That's the Art of Star Wars. But this one is what's the name of it? It's a big book, big book.
This one's big, but maybe it's not the one you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I have the art. I have those art ones as well. I can't remember the author. It's like making of Star Wars. What is it? Who's the author? And just so much information. The definitive story behind J.W. Rinsler. So he did one for Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. I don't think he's done it for any of the other movies, but they are just chock full of info. Like they do an entire 30, 40 pages on just the I know from Empire Strikes Back and how that came about. Because Kirshner was going around with a tape recorder and he recorded every conversation to do an entire transcription on how that happened.
Huh.
It's fascinating.
Wow.
Great behind the scenes photos, scripts. Like they even talk about like Jedi's pre-production meetings with the writers and what they were going to do and how they created characters and should there be a second Death Star and why that would be a bad idea or why this is a good idea and this and that. It's fascinating.
Huh.
Fascinating. You won't be able to put the books down. They're big books. I don't know how expensive they are.
You know,
They're like 80 some odd dollars.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Marvel.
They're fantastic. And they're just, I don't know how many pages. How many pages are there? They're just massive.
I remember I was
370 pages.
Wow.
Fantastic stuff.
I remember when I was a kid, it wasn't a Star Wars book that I had my eye on, but apparently it was such an expensive book I could never afford to buy when I was a child. But Industrial Light and Magic, it was all a book about all the effects.
Yes.
I wanted that book.
Yes.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I have that one. I think it has a Drew Struzan painting on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a whole archive of Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
Or it's like with props and matte paintings and various things like that from Star Wars.
Like
and
$65 back in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a kid. I have a $3 a week allowance.
Yeah.
Maybe the one I have is a newer version. Because I have that one. I have there's a George Lucas one, like these big coffee table books.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Industrial Light and Magic one, but I think that's Star Wars Indiana Jones, which like with a few pages for like Howard the Duck and various other Industrial Light projects. But yeah, that's a great book. But these are soft covers, like the two Star Wars books I have are hardcover, like the Star Wars Empire one, but they have the soft cover of Jedi. I couldn't get the hardcover one of that one.
Right.
But they have one like of just making stuff for everything. But yeah, this J.W. Rinsler, incredible author. And what's Ian saying? He also did Alien and Planet of the Apes. Well, I've got to get those.
Oh, cool.
He's got to do Aliens next.
Yes, Aliens. Oh,
he did do Aliens. He did. Last year. Wow. Holy smokes. I don't know where he gets all this information, but that guy's so good. Every little bit you could ever want, it's in there.
Yeah, one of those books I regretted not buying was the book on the making of heavy metal when it got re-released, when the movie got re-released on tape and in theaters in the mid 90s. I should have picked that up. I did pick up the score though when that was re-released for heavy metal, the Bernstein score.
Bernstein, yeah.
Yep.
And you should try Frederick Talgorn's sequel score for Heavy Metal 2000.
I should look for that. You're right.
If you want to hear what a score would sound like if Jerry Goldsmith and John Williams got together, that's it.
What? No way.
It is huge.
Wow.
But it sounds like those two came together and wrote a score. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I do have the movie, but I should look for that score.
Yeah, the score, I'm sure it's on digital. I know the soundtrack was available on a promo through SuperTrack, so it was really hard to find, but I think you should be able to find it through like Spotify or
we'll hunt around for it.
And it's not very long, but it's like Frederick Talgorn, somebody that if you do like John Williams music, he's got that style down, but it's oh yeah, it's so great.
How do you spell the last name?
Talgron, French guy, Frederick Talgorn. Yeah, he's fantastic.
This is where Matt Damon tells the surprise story in the bar.
It's very good. Yeah.
Alice Jardine. Oh no! No! Oh. That's the kind of story you tell, though. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
You'd have to.
like my uncle always tells us his stories. Like he grew up in the Depression, you know, so it's like him and my father, they were Depression babies. So the World War II was going on when they were kids, you know. In fact, my dad remembered they were collecting tin for the war, right? And you know, like bringing your cans, right? And he put them on his little red wagon. If you bring it to a movie theater, you get to go see the cartoons for free, you know, for bring a bunch of cans. And yeah. And then the guy took his little red wagon and he was like, "You took my red wagon." He starts crying and the guy finally gave it back to him. But you know, I guess the guy thought you were giving them the wagon too for the metal because they needed the metal.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
So we got a bit of levity, and of course now he's thinking about the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dan went off to basic the next day. Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's you talk about, you know, whether you needed score in this, but I don't know what's more effective than just hearing the rumble of these tanks coming towards you. And I don't think there's any music that could make it any more suspenseful.
Yeah. Well, as it's been, sound is half the movie, but also not just the score, also the effects.
Well, yeah, and I mean, going back to Enemy at the Gates, that has a big 15, 20-minute opening battle scene. And James Horner scored the entire sequence. Huge Russian choir, big orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still effective. I just don't know whether that something like that would work in Saving Private Ryan. But I mean, they were going for the same sort of realism in Enemy at the Gates. So it was odd for me to see that scene, massive symphony orchestra and chorus going, but it was still intense.
I don't know.
So I guess there's a case for both, but
yeah, it's like I was on a Zoom call talking about Alex North's score to 2001, how it was rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And we were playing parts of the film with the classical music and parts with the North score. And one of the guys was like, "Well, I don't like the Alex North score." And I'm like, "Well, how many times have you seen 2001?" He's like, "Well, I watched it I watch it every year for however many years." I'm like, "I've never seen it."
Right.
I'm actually digging the Alex North score more than I am the classical music. Because I haven't grown up with it this way. So
there was nothing wrong with what Alex North did. I mean, essentially the score sounds much like what the temp tracks sound like anyway. There's waltzes. His opening cue sounds, you know, very much like Strauss. And so yeah, but I mean, I guess it's what you experience first. And
yeah. And if John Williams had gone balls to walls with a score for this, we'd be sitting here thinking like, I wonder what this would be like if it didn't have as much score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. The way you're talking to me, I'm thinking about games like when the old days, you would get a game on the Genesis and you get a game on the Super Nintendo, they'd have different sounding scores, and some people preferred one or the other because different sound chips.
Yeah, well, Alex North, I mean, he wrote what he wrote, and then he found out at the premiere that, you know, his music wasn't in the film anymore.
That's awkward. Yeah.
How pissed would you be?
Very.
I mean, you still got paid. I mean, but
sure.
I know Goldsmith was pissed off when he went to see Alien in the theater.
Well, yeah. I mean, after all that work that he did, and you know, all the rejected cues and the rewrites that he had to do, thinking that he finally got it right, and you know, there's one cue in that entire score that is as it's supposed to be and played from start to finish properly. Only one.
Then they threw in Freud as well.
Freud, Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
But he still got paid. So,
but I mean, it's just he considered it one of his very best works, Alien. He was very proud of that. And, you know, to have that kind of gone. But yeah, it's out of control, you know.
Yeah, I think we were talking with someone else in our group the other day. I think we were talking about how there's a different score for what was the movie Legend? Ridley Scott's Legend.
Yep.
Yeah, completely different score in Europe. That was interesting.
We just talked about that on Sunday. We'll
Oh.
be having a podcast episode for that in about a month.
Cool. I'll look for it.
Yeah, myself, three other hosts from my network, but including he's a composer, David Cassina. So he basically breaks down the themes and how they were used and actually plays them. And we talk about both scores. Mostly it's Goldsmith because it's so good, but we also talk about Tangerine Dreams as well. But yeah, we talked for 3.5 hours. It won't be that long, but we talked for 3.5 hours about Legend. Yeah. And I'm not a big fan of that movie at all, but the score that Goldsmith wrote is just next level stuff. It's brilliant.
That's a weird 80s fantasy movie.
It is so weird because
there's
so many good things about it. Oh my God, I know. And I watched it for the first time 2 months ago, and it still made me uncomfortable.
See, I grew up with it, like would come on Showtime or something sometimes. I'm like, yes, this is weird. And it's like you would get to just these weird fantasy movies. Okay, here we got the tanks. These are the wrong tanks.
They're the wrong tanks.
Completely took me out of the movie.
They're supposed to be tiger tanks, but they're something else, and whatever.
Were they the proper tanks in Fury? I would hope, considering that was about tanks.
Maybe. I'm gonna look at tanks controversy.
It was weird seeing Brad Pitt in that one too, since he was just in Inglourious Bastards. He's in another World War II.
Right.
Of course, Tom Hanks, he ends up showing up in Greyhound. So there you go. He's the captain in that. Though he actually, I'll say this, he doesn't. He seems different than this character though in that because he's older now, so he's more like a seasoned.
These are converted Soviet tanks, Soviet T-3485s that are converted to look like Tiger tanks.
Well, then come on, just cut them some slack, okay? What are they going to build fresh tanks just for the movie?
I know. Yeah, just like CGI it, man. You know,
no, they didn't have that back then, and. Don't CGI everything. Sorry. CGI works in some places. Other times it's just like I actually like the CGI in Starship Troopers, even though I know.
Oh my God, I love Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
yes.
But they also use practical effects when they could too. So it was a mixture of both.
Absolutely. That's some of Phil Tippett's best work.
Whenever I think of tanks, I think of that line from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Oh, you'll get munitions, this, and tanks. You're welcome." Yes. And of course, it's the tanks. Okay, yes, funny, yes. Because I'm thinking at this time I missed the old Spielberg. Why aren't we getting like another Indiana Jones? But no, this is great. This is thrilling. Okay, this is
brutal.
We are getting another Indiana Jones.
We'll see how that.
We'll save that for Sunday night, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know if I'll be talking about that one, but yeah. Sticky Bomb.
But Eric, Boomer does a pop culture news show every Sunday night.
Yeah. It's like it's a live stream. Yeah, we just hang out. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, the guy blew up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's called Geeky Geezers, but yeah, we're still small fry at this point, but who knows? Yeah.
So what are you talking about Sunday?
Oh, just the latest news stories. We'll talk about the Eternals trailer.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. It's
all right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But look, Sticky Bomb though. That guy got shredded. That's what I remember in the theater seeing the guy get torn apart.
Oh my God, the barrel just coming down on you and firing. Timing this must have been insane for the pyro people. And how many times there are so many just like oneer shots like this. They went from outside, inside, up the stairs. There hasn't been a cut. And Spielberg is just a magician at this sort of stuff because there's times where you don't realize that he hasn't cut yet. And now he's going out the window. Right? Mm-hmm. This is all one shot. In the wall. That's all one shot. And you've done a pyro. Like, look at all. Man. I couldn't imagine planning this. That could have been a cut right there. Could have been. That's it. That's like, what, a minute? Minute and a half?
Mm-hmm. Look at this.
Yeah, that tank is so Soviet. I mean, I mean, it's so obvious.
Maybe the
German would not
Germans
put those types of wheels on.
Maybe the Germans stole them from the Russians, and said, "Hey, spoils of war. We're going to use them to fight." Okay.
I think the Tigers are just a bit bigger.
I'll say this: in Warhorse, one of the things they show in the movie is how the warfare is evolving throughout the whole movie. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I think they finally get up to tanks toward the end. I think, or we would. I don't know.
They had tanks at the very end of the war.
Yeah. I'm not sure if in that movie they showed that. It's been a while, but
there were tanks. Yeah, the horse jumps on one. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But Boomer, you hated that movie, didn't you?
Hey, listen, I think I complained about the fact that I thought it was overly sentimental for a movie about World War I, but it's okay if you liked it too. Everyone else in my family loved it, so and I know there are people out there that hate Jurassic World. We could have like different things. I can still point out good things in Warhorse, but yeah, I thought. Plus, it was PG-13, and that bugged me. That should have been that should have been R. World War I is not. I don't know, and I know.
Right.
Never mind. Anyway.
And Sir Ian brings up a very excellent overlooked point. The dirt in this film is obviously not from France.
Wasn't this shot in England or the UK? There was a shot in the UK, wasn't it? Where'd they build this town?
I know the beach scenes were shot in like Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
Interesting.
I think the whole production was out there. God, that's wicked. The explosions in this movie are so good.
Someone should they should do a before and after a book of like towns and wars and stuff. See what they look like before.
Yeah.
Like I used to have this book about ancient ruins, and they would have like what they thought the place really looked like, and then you would peel the plastic up, then you see the actual photograph of the place. And they should do that for like.
Have you seen like there's some people that will go online, they have old photos from like the war, and they'll walk into like Berlin, and then they'll put a picture up in front of their lens and try to find the exact spot where that picture was taken, and then you would see half of the the destruction of, let's say, Berlin, and then what it looks like now.
I think I haven't seen like videos, but I think I've seen the photos. Yeah, people doing that like on vacation and stuff. Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And if it makes you feel better, I saw online someone was critiquing the Springfield rifle that he's got, saying they couldn't have made one of the shots that he made with it because of the bullet drop over the yardage. And I'm like, come on, guys, let's taking it a little bit too far.
Oh my God, that's funny. I guess that's like me being really overly critical of hockey movies.
Well, you're a Canadian, right?
I am, and I've only
can't help it.
And I've only seen two that I think are actually good. So,
was Slapshot one of them?
It was not.
I remember saying that. Go ahead.
I will say that that's another one where it's like I'm all right with this. It definitely, this is what kind of like minor league, small town, dirty hockey is like. But then it gets to the ending, and I'm like, oh, come on!
Like when they had
why did you do that?
Yes.
But it's brutal. I mean, there are like one like an East Coast league, and it's just war every night, and that's what Slapshot felt like to me. But then you get like the Mighty Ducks and Mystery Alaska and all that sort of junk, and it just never plays right. But I do say that Miracle got it right.
Miracle, yes,
Miracle is so good.
Oh,
and there's a Canadian movie called The Rocket about Maurice Richard, and it is fantastic.
Okay, I'll look for
this guy's left-handed shooting a right-handed rifle.
Is that what he said?
I just noticed that. No, that's what he's doing. He's shooting left-handed.
Oh yeah.
It's a right-handed rifle.
Yeah, right. He's clocking it on the wrong. That's interesting.
It's like a machine.
Oh, this is so. Oh man.
But they do make left-handed rifles, but
I wonder why they did that.
I'm probably going to say that the U.S. Army only issued right-handed rifles. Sir Ian says he believes this town was filmed in Hatfield in England. So.
Okay. But yeah, Miracle's a great hockey movie. Disney was doing a great job with their sports movies for a little while. They were, I'm trying to think what the other one was. Do you remember the Titans? I think they did that one.
Remember Titans was great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. But
it's tough to do hockey right. It's a weird sport to shoot, and it's tough to get the atmosphere. So
yeah, Kurt Russell was in that. I remember that,
and he was amazing.
Yes,
he was like that whole scene where they're doing drills after the game, which they kind of just it happens. I've had that happen. It was like we just lollygagged that game. They're like, "You staying here? We're on for another hour, and you're just gonna skate." I'm like, "Oh my god, really?" But yeah, and that's and I was like, "Wow, they actually finally got it." And they got the gameplay down. That's the thing. The gameplay, it's really to get the gameplay down. Because it's I mean, the shots have to be accurate. You got to make sure that you're not like hits gotta hurt. And I find that, basketball movies, baseball movies, like Major League is one of the best sports movies because the sport just plays so well. Like the choreography in Major League is amazing. I mean, it's a comedy, but the baseball is so good. I mean, Charlie Sheen can actually pitch. And so that's where I find that you got guys who don't play. And that's the thing about Miracles. They got guys who actually play the game, but are also good actors. But Rocket that's another tough one because you're talking about the 50s in the NHL. And it's, but they got all the gear right. They got the gameplay right, the sticks, the skating. It's such a good movie. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
I'll check it out. Now, those grenades they were throwing in there, are those German grenades versus the way we usually see American grenades?
Like those club ones. Yeah,
the club ones. Because I saw those pop up in like an anime movie that I liked, and they were in Europe, and it was those weird grenades. And I was like, "What are those?" They were calling them grenades. Those look like grenades, and I realized, those are German grenades. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, this is awful.
Oh
no! Here we go.
Steel Hand Granate, German Steel Hand Granate, hand grenades, distinguished by its wooden handle. That guy got hit in the throat, yeah.
Oh yeah. He's not going in a good way.
Yeah. And the fact that this fight, like they roll over top of him.
This was the part my heart was sinking in this whole scene. Oh, I mean, it's bad in other scenes too, but that one in particular, it's just, oh no, it's the guy they let go.
Yep.
I would hate to run out of ammo. That would not be a good day.
I guess if you wanted to be cute with the German soldier, you could leave an empty handgun, like with no bullets in it, and see if he picks it up and tries to shoot you with it, and then, then you have your thing, like. That's more of a Die Hard thing, right? That's
yeah.
Yeah, but a friend of mine was saying when the German is stabbing him, he's almost apologetic. I don't.
Right? He's telling him to shush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, and I'm not. I'd have to. I don't know German, so I'm not sure exactly what he was saying. But
I don't know what he's saying either.
But I think it was something more like, "You'll just go to sleep," just And I.
Oh man.
And I don't know how you take that. And, dude, get up those stairs.
Yeah. Oh man.
Get up those stairs. I'm sorry. I'm yelling at the guy on the screen. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Yeah, this is. I don't know why this scene. This is.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
That's not a good way to go. I mean, none of these are, but that's.
I think we're going to start throwing stuff at each other.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's a scene in Hacksaw Ridge where, like, I think a grenade ends up between with one American soldier and a Japanese soldier, and they're both
Right.
screaming at each other, and they press themselves. Each other, ah! And then it explodes, and the two of them fly apart from each other. It was just, this whole scene is just, ugh.
It's rough.
I don't like this. This guy's just freezing up. Yeah,
so people usually mistake this guy as Steamboat Willie, but it's not.
What?
And it's not Steamboat Willie.
It's not the guy they let go?
No. Steamboat Willie does show up later because he recognizes him, but that's not Steamboat Willie.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was just dumb.
I
that
still
they
don't like him. How about that?
Yeah, they still don't. He looks almost exactly the same. So why would you do that? But it's another guy. Stephen Gother is his name, the German that just killed them, and he's known as German number 3.
Spielberg should have given the guy like a mustache or something. Well,
yeah,
or something to distinguish himself with.
Exactly.
All of them Krauts look alike, right? I say this as I say this as someone of German descent. So
yeah, but Steamboat Willie I think does show up, and then Upham does shoot him.
Okay, all right. Ugh.
Yeah.
I thought that was
no.
All of us thought that was the. Oh man. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
the revelation.
Like 20 years later. Thanks. It's like, yeah. So I was like, that's really bad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still bad. The guy's with them, but at the same time,
and he doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bombs. Okay. This is brutal. Oh.
That's a great shot. Oh man, I love that shot.
Jeez.
Yeah,
the sound. Oh, so good. Man, Spielberg was on fire with this movie. So perfect.
Well, if that wasn't the guy, though, why did the German leave this guy alone?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, but it wasn't him.
Oh, I hope it wasn't a racial thing. That would be awful. Okay,
Ooh,
that could be. Well, what am I thinking? Yes, I don't know. It's all just.
Yeah, I think you're right. Steamboat Willie, does shoot Miller, and I think that's why Upham kills him, right?
Yeah. Okay. Right, but that's not the one.
But that's not the one. No, it's German number. It's German number 3. He's
German
the stabby.
Okay.
Yeah, stabby German.
Oh man,
it's German number 3.
And that's why I get confused because maybe he told him on the way, I'd leave the kid alone or something. I don't know. This is all just weird. Shouting in German. That or he didn't see this guy as a soldier. Even though he's, because he's not doing anything.
He was carrying tons of ammo.
Yeah. DVD still holds up pretty well, though. I mean, it's not going to be as good as the Blu-ray, obviously, but I've seen some DVDs that age very poorly, and others that are still hold up pretty well. I mean, granted, I only have a 1080p. I still have my plasma television, my 1080p plasma. It still works.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this on.
Yeah, one of the worst DVDs I have is like the ones where you had to flip Time to Kill. It looks terrible.
Oh, really? You got to flip. I hate
you have to flip
discs.
it. Yeah,
I hate flip discs. I
You mean Laserdisc?
It's just like
basically yeah.
Yeah.
The early DVDs were just like Laserdiscs except
Yep.
smaller. That's basically what they were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stargate. I think I got a Stargate that was like that too.
Yeah,
it was a flipper disc. Halfway through the movie, yep, they didn't come up with dual layering. That's why you have some DVDs.
Right.
It does the brief pause. It's going to the other layer. That's what it is.
Yep.
I think LA Confidential was the first dual layer DVD disc. And I know that they had so much bad pressing issues. They had to throw out like half the ones they made because it was so difficult to make them early on.
Jesus.
Everything
about, you're right, Ian. Production design and dressing. Ridiculous. I think it took them like 3 months to build this set. And oh man.
We're getting slow-mo.
Yeah, it's probably the only aspect maybe about this movie that I don't like is just like this whole slow down thing. I'm always observing things, but
it could be. I will say this.
Or there's isn't it? There's something. There was something like not an impact. What do they call it? Like it was a shock that would happen. Like if you get an explosion beside you and go into some sort of shock. But maybe that was
it. And it messes
what was
with
that
your hearing,
called?
too.
I don't know, but I got into a car accident when I was younger, and when I got into the accident, everything slowed down. I remember everything slowing down. So maybe it's just when you're in an intense thing, like time, your perception slows everything down. It doesn't make any sense. So that could be what he's trying to simulate here. I don't know.
I mean, I know about the hearing stuff. I mean, but that would last a lot longer than what it does in normally in movies.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Right.
It's almost like time slows down and then it speeds right back up again, and you're back in the present.
Until he realizes what he has to do. I guess it's just him observing what has happened. Yeah, there's Steamboat Willie. Yeah, he should have had a different haircut.
Yeah, something to distinguish himself. Yeah, because I was...
You were confident since 1998.
1998. Oh.
And again, is this too much of a Spielberg type of shot with the whole shooting the tank and it exploding and then surprise here? You know what I mean?
That kind of is.
Building's on fire.
Because that 45 is not going to penetrate that armor.
No. But they sound so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the morphing from Affleck to the old weird, just a weird effect.
Yeah, maybe it's too. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I get it, but it's just such a weird special effect.
I think back then it's like we've never done it. We couldn't do this before, so let's do it now. And now it's like maybe it should have been done. Yeah. Oh no. That's what did it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was doing a plea, and he's like, no. If he had kept his mouth shut, he would have stayed alive. Probably he would have been like, okay, well, you guys can surrender or whatever. Get out. I don't know.
Ian says it's a little too late.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
it was. Yes, and he knows it.
Yeah.
Upham knows it. He knows he made a mistake.
But from a character standpoint, he can grow now as a character in the sequel.
We'll see.
Never
They're not doing no sequel. Is he going to grow? What's he going to write about now? Like he's writing about, is he getting some romantic story to tell? Actually, no one knows. Okay.
Yeah, and there's that theme. So. It's beautiful. Love that theme.
That's what, like a lung shot? Probably. Got hit in his right lung.
Mm-hmm. Angels on our shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And the shaking of the hands, we didn't bring that up. Is that Parkinson's?
No, that's just,
no.
That's nerves.
Okay, I thought somebody told me he had early onset, like not the actor, but the character was supposed to have like early Parkinson's or something. Okay.
He said in the film it started at D-Day.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say this personally speaking. When I lost Jana, I shook. I would visually shake. Not just my hands, but my entire body would just shake. I did that for like an entire summer.
Wow.
It was not enjoyable, to say the least.
Now he's going to take the letter.
Yeah, he's a goner, man.
Think about it, though. They could turn this set into a paintball course, right?
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yes.
Well, I know Sir Ian in the audience served in the UK. Thank you for your service, sir.
Oh, thank you, Ian. We're getting to the morphing now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I wish they would have just had not put that scene in the movie.
I mean, what I would have done.
Just cut it right here.
Well,
you go into his eye and then come out again. Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
just a little. It's not a bad effect. It just doesn't seem like it. Like a fancy effect like that in this movie is warranted. But I understand what they were trying to do here. But
so, what is this all happening from his memory in the span of what? 2 minutes or something,
but even I don't know. It's tough for me to say because I've never gone through this, but like asking if he's a good man. But I guess that makes sense that when you got a guy telling you he's got to earn his life and all that sort of junk, then I guess you'd have that question. But by the way, would the family be that distant? Wouldn't they just be hanging around with him and making sure that?
I don't know. Maybe he said, "Stay back while I'm here." I don't know.
It's just so odd to see him just kind of like walking on his own, and they're all following him at the beginning of the movie.
It's for the shot. It's so they can have the family in the background, but still have focused on him. That I don't know. No, it doesn't make any sense. You're right. Okay.
I mean, I really like. I mean, he's talking to him. I get it. That's great. Super powerful. But I just would think that, you'd want his wife there and his family, and this is the guy who saved my life, and
How often does he come to visit this grave, I wonder? Is this like the first
time? Every
since
year.
That's his first time.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm curious. I'm just... Tell me I'm a good man. Yeah, this was kind of the period of these kind of big movies. Like you had this, you had Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
You had I don't know.
This was made for $70 million back when you could make an outstanding film for $70 million.
Well, I suspect that we're going to end up with cheaper made movies at some point. I don't think they can keep these budgets the way they've been, but I don't know. We'll see.
They keep making a ridiculous amount of money. They do, right?
Yeah. Well, right now it's weird because we're in a state of flux. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Because it's like they're still doing the dual releasing with streaming and movie theaters. Are they ever going to go back just to having theatrical releases, and then they're going to spread it out when people are more comfortable going out to movie theaters and whatnot? We'll see.
Right.
There we got American flag. And fade to black. Okay. And this is where you said you didn't want the credits rolling at this point, right?
Spielberg mentioned he kind of wishes that he just left it black and let the music play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the era of simple end credits. Nothing flashy.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean?
I prefer like the intro credits to be flashy. I don't mind sometimes.
I don't mind that either. Yeah.
That or just have like a quick credit. Like, here's the title of the movie. We'll just get into it. Worry about the credits later.
Sure.
I
miss main titles. Honestly, I do. I miss that setup. Things like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or Stargate, or just those things that just give you that nice overture at the beginning, set you up for the movie, and away you go.
Well, we still get that we got that with Scott Pilgrim when that came out. Remember?
Yeah, but mostly
intro sequence. Yeah,
but mostly that's all kind of like now you got those big main title sequences or the end title, right? And everything's been relegated. It's studio picture by title. Let's get in the movie.
Yeah, like in the old days, you would have gotten like we were watching Captain America: Winter Soldier the other weekend. Like you have that thing at the end with Hydra and the thing, but that sort of thing would have been at the beginning in the old days. Like
that's right.
Like the Bond movies still do those, but it's funny. I'm thinking about the movies that did it, but they were really early 2010s, so they're probably not even doing that now. Like when they have Super had a funny credit sequence with a song and like all the. I don't know if you saw Super with Kevin Bacon and the guy from The Office, but
no,
that had an interesting. That's about a guy that decides to become a superhero. It's the guy that played Dwight on The Office, and
oh really?
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's a little disturbing because his weapon is a wrench. So when he hits someone with a wrench, it really it's like he's getting visions of Nathan Fillion plays like this Bible defender guy on like this Christian TV show, and then he starts seeing images of him in the real world telling him to go out and fight crime, and and Kevin Bacon's like a drug lord. It was done by James Gunn actually before he did Guardians, but Liv Tyler's in it too. But
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a dark comedy, but They were doing that for a while. They were having all these what I call indie superhero movies, were about like regular people deciding to become superheroes. They had one with Woody Harrelson in it. I forgot the name of that one. Defendor with an O.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I saw that one. I think that one actually takes place in Canada. Okay. So normal end credits. Good old fashioned end credits, actually. You know.
Yep.
You know what the
Thank
Flash
you for coming by, Ian. I don't blame you for going to sleep. It's like 4:30 where you are. So
Wow.
God bless you, my friend.
No,
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you for coming
yeah,
by.
thank you, Ian. We appreciate it. Anyone else on the rewatch, check it out. This is a good stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I run to movies where I don't have as much to say, but this one still holds up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it will forever.
It's a phenomenal film. It's just not something that, like I said, I can't just throw it in the VCR.
It isn't, but at the same time, there are a lot of scenes in this that stick out. That you do still have that Spielberg, like he directs action great. I mean, he's a great action director.
Yeah. Yeah, like the musical high point really is the end credits.
Yeah, it's the only real big piece. But it does what it's supposed to do. And what's sad, though, is that he's cut this piece down by like 30, 40 seconds in concerts now. I don't know why. But there's this big kind of climactic part here. Is kind of like gone from the concert suite. Which there's no reason for him to fiddle with it. Really, it's perfect as is.
Seamus McNerney. Okay.
Have you ever seen John Williams in concert?
No, I never got a chance.
You have, right, Daniel?
Me? Yeah, several times.
Yeah, I would love to. We thought about going to Boston one year, it just never worked out. And I know he made it to Detroit once, and again, just couldn't get out there. So, but we have our own symphony orchestra here in Kitchener. They're really good, actually, and they do John Williams concerts every other year. And they have a great hall. It's one of the, I mean, a lot of people that come around, they say it's just acoustically perfect hall. Everything sounds amazing in it. So they do a really good job. Not bad for a town that only has 300,000 people in it. So
only 300,000 people.
Yeah. Well, compared to Toronto, half.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're a lot cheaper too. I mean, the TSO, you're paying like hundreds of dollars for a ticket, and here it's like I could sit in the back for about $22 and still have a great view, and it sounds amazing. So, and they do well, that's what happened at the beginning of COVID. I was supposed to go see Back to the Future in concert, and was kind of upset that I didn't get a chance to
stinks.
See that. Yeah, but I did get to see Raiders, Empire, and E.T. in Toronto. So, and that's the first time I ever saw Raiders on the big screen. And it's my favorite movie of all time. It's the first time ever.
Here's something to think about. Next year, hopefully next year, Boston Pops will have the full season in the late spring, early summer. You what, like a family of 4, your wife and 2 kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get y'all tickets. We'll hook up in Boston and catch a concert. I'm serious. I'm not covering your airfare and all that. I'll get your
No, we'll drive down. We'll drive.
How far is Boston from where you live? Is it like
about 8 hours?
That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
It's a good. It's fine. I spent once 21 hours in Boston. We were doing a quick shoot interview there. We spent the night and then it took off. It's like I got to spend one night in Boston, and it was beautiful. And I'd love to go back.
I enjoy Boston, but I enjoy being home. I'm happy when I come back home. But put that in the back of your brain. And,
absolutely.
Hopefully,
that'd be fantastic.
Next summer they'll get back, because they always do like a John Williams film night for like 3 or 4 nights. And
right.
going to conduct anything, that's where he'll be at. He usually does the second half at this point due to his age.
Yeah.
And
He's
I'm
bringing
serious.
David Newman with him, right? For this concert this year or whatever it was. He usually brings David Newman with him. No, that's Hollywood Bowl.
That's Hollywood Bowl. Yeah, David
okay.
Newman will be there. But yeah, I'll get y'all tickets. Y'all come on down.
Oh my God, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. My wife's always wanted to go. I mean, she's got some, well, she's a newfie, so she's an Irish background, so she's always wanted to get to Boston and see what that's all about. And
hey, my grandfather was from Newfoundland, so
oh really?
Yes, he
wow.
He did move to the United States though, and he married my Irish grandmother. Actually,
was he born in Newfoundland?
He's born in Newfoundland. Yes, he was born in Newfoundland. Yes.
Wow.
It was his name was Penny. That was his last name.
Okay. Do you know whereabouts he was born?
No, I could probably ask though. I'll find out maybe next time if you're around again. But it's interesting. The end of the DVD is interesting. It actually has Spielberg talking about, now that you've seen this pivotal moment in history, and he's talking about what happened.
Oh,
really? It's interesting. There's a little thing, and he's basically giving a tribute to the men. He basically said, if those men hadn't succeeded, the war would have pressed on, the Holocaust would have pressed on. So he was saying, we need to pay these men our respect. Okay, and that they were okay. So good for him. Yeah, it's supporting the National D-Day Museum. Okay, it's a support the National D-Day Museum. Cool. Okay,
that is very neat.
But yeah, it's Memorial Day, so all who passed on because of the wars, we appreciate your Well, I don't want to make it even seem trite like that, but cool.
Yeah,
I like your posters.
Yeah,
actually, Daniel, do you have those posters? You have an Indiana Jones poster too, don't you? Which one?
Yeah, I got both of those.
You have a French one, right? You have a French one?
I have. Yeah, I've got the huge French ones for Raiders and Temple of Doom and Last Crusade. That's right. I got Last Crusade too.
But do you have an original Sword of the Valiant poster with Sean Connery?
No.
I have one. Okay. I'm sorry. That's one of my favorite B movies. Okay, I'm sorry. And that got released on Blu-ray finally this past fall. So okay, and it has an electronic score, which I don't know if you'd like, but anyway, okay.
I'd love to listen to it.
Yeah.
Well, what's it called again?
Sword of the Valiant. Have you ever heard of it? It was a Golden Globus production. Stephen Weeks directed it. It was basically saw as a budget Excalibur. Okay, it's about the tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and it had Miles O'Keefe in the lead role, which you may know as Ator the Fighting Eagle, and some really bad Conan knockoffs. But it has Sean Connery in it as the Green Knight. It's kind of neat. I used to watch it on Saturday afternoons. They would always play it, but it has kind of that Canon Pictures B movie quality to it. But I still kind of like it. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it got a Blu-ray release in the fall, but you may want to check it out before buying it. I don't know if it's your cup of tea or not, but if you like 80s sword and sorcery, yeah.
Oh, I love that weird stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, who released it? Scorpion releasing, some weird company. I bought that, and I bought some other movie with it. Spare Parts, was it called? Or some cyber, like post-apocalyptic cyberpunk movie, which Dylan McDermott's in it, and Daniel Herron said he didn't like it. I don't remember the title of the movie as I watched. Anyway, I don't know. Okay, I'm talking too much. So,
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something real fast.
Hardware. It's called Hardware. That was the name of the movie.
That's a horrible movie.
You didn't like that? Lord. Stop it! I haven't seen it yet. It was a blind buy. I want to get free shipping.
I walked out of that movie. The only good part about that movie was the shower scene.
Okay, but it was free shipping, and I figured I have to get another movie with it, and everything else was sold out that I wanted, so that was the only thing in there. And okay, never mind. Okay.
But anyways, on Troy's show the other night, he was talking about how he doesn't like to use people's real names, and I'm like, well, on my show, Age Boomer always uses my real name. I don't even know what Age Boomer's real name is.
My name is Jeff. Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I know what your real name is.
Anyways, cool. This has been fun though.
Yeah.
For a brutal war movie. Okay. That is still fascinating to watch because the tank battle is really cool.
It is really good.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming on. Anything you want to plug while we got you on?
Yeah, definitely plug your podcast.
Well, yeah, Cinematic Sound Radio at cinematicsound.net. Lot of programs. One I'm really proud of, which went up a few days ago. We did a commentary on James Horner's Aliens.
I just listened to that. Yeah.
And I think that was one of my favorite shows in a really, really long time. Randy's really good host and he lets me talk a lot. So I guess maybe that's why I like it.
Cool.
And we also have a new show called Scored to Death Radio. So it's all horror music. It's produced by the author, J. Blake Fischera. He wrote 2 books called Scored to Death and Scored to Death 2. So it's interviews with horror composers. So if you're interested in that,
definitely,
or that kind of book, they are great. And there's an interview with Robert Cobert that is his last interview ever because he passed away months after it was done. And it is one of the funniest things I have ever read. A great interview. And so that's in the Scored to Death 2 book. That's our new show. It 2 episodes long so far, but he'll be back, and he has his own podcast as well where he interviews horror composers for his podcast as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I've been trying to get Daniel. One of my favorite horror scores is the one for the Funhouse, directed by Toby Hooper. You've heard of that one?
Yes, I have that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I think it's expensive promo too. So yeah.
Yeah,
really good.
I got it through. I think I had to get it digitally because I couldn't find the CD anywhere. But they were still, so you can get it off Amazon or get it off iTunes or
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's always a lot of stuff always going up. Like I said, Legend. We did a massive conversation about that. That'll come out in about a month. And there's interviews with Austin Wintory coming up. Bruce Broughton. Who else are we talking to? Yeah, Jason got a chance to talk to Broughton. So much on the go. Yeah. And we did like a 3-part show to Robert Folk. So if you're interested in his music, there's 2 interviews and a show to Robert Folk with just his music. So if you want to know how close he came to getting a James Bond movie, you can listen to that show. He came so close to scoring GoldenEye, which would have been amazing.
Did you like what we got for GoldenEye?
I love the movie. I don't like the score at all.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that at all.
I'm mixed because it's because I played the N64 game for a while, and it has that. It has like the clanking. I understand why people will hate that score. I get it. Yeah. The guy was trying to do something different. Okay, it was.
Yeah, and I applaud them for that, but even the producers were like, we made a mistake.
People complain about the Blu-ray for that movie too. They said that was a bad transfer. They DNR'd to death. Yeah, they said part of the problem was that they said back then the producers, they were using film stocks that were not in the best shape. Okay, because I think they were trying to bring Bond back, and they had to go with they had, but I don't know if they had like old film stocks they were shooting it on. So when they were cleaning it up, it was difficult. They said they DNR'd it. You can get. I got the whole Bond Blu-ray set though. You can get it now for like a reasonable price. But
but I really like the movie. I really do. I mean, it's my favorite Brosnan film by far. Too bad we didn't get David Arnold earlier on.
Yeah, the scores were better in the later movies.
Absolutely, for sure.
Cool. It has a great title sequence though.
Yes, it does.
Tina Turner, right?
It
does the theme
written by Bono and the Edge.
Yeah, that was a good theme.
It was.
I did like that.
Yeah. But I mean, my favorite Bond theme is Katie Lang's unused Tomorrow Never Dies, which they renamed it as Surrender and put it in the end title, which was garbage. But if you get a chance, someone did put the song back into the main title on YouTube, and it's glorious.
I'll check it out.
Glorious. That's my favorite Bond song, hands down.
Because they went with the Sheryl Crow song instead,
yes,
right?
They did, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, that's like with Thunderball. They were going to do Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and they went with the Tom Jones song, which I do like that Thunderball song, but Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a good song. There was another Shirley Bassey theme, but
right.
Okay, cool.
Boomer, you got your show Sunday night?
Yeah, Sunday night. Check me out on Geeky Geezer's stream on my channel, and we'll be on at 9, and we'll just talk about the news of the week. Probably a lot of the stuff about the Amazon buying up MGM. We'll be talking about that, I'm sure, and our reactions to the Eternals trailer and other things. And makes me sad for picking on the Venom 2 trailer. Anyway, I'll be we'll save that for the stream on Sunday. But yeah, and I think Troy will probably be doing something Friday. I might be on with him, and we'll do.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we're going to be doing another fixing. I don't know if we're going to be watching more Smallville episodes or if it's going to be something else. But cool. All right. That's it. How about you, Birdman? Well, anything else going on?
Next Wednesday, another movie. We'll have to.
What do you want to do next?
What?
Yeah, we can figure it out. You and I should do 280s, and I'll pick 280s, and then we'll see whoever wants to come on. I know we
said we'd have Troy on for 80s, and we said we'd do Howard the Duck. So,
do you want me to be the sacrifice? Make that one of mine, and you can pick the other two. Okay. Well, I'll do. Well, Howard the Duck will be one of mine. We made a point that they're releasing Howard the Duck on Blu-ray. 4K Blu-ray.
4K.
Wow.
4K.
Wow. You want to get it? You have not seen Howard the Duck until you've seen him in 4K.
Wow. Wow.
That's a conversation starter. Just ask someone if they've seen Howard the Duck, and they either know what you're talking about or they don't. You know,
that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
it depends on the reaction. Seen it? No.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that film in the 6th grade very much.
I didn't mind it as a kid either.
Yeah.
But
as a kid, I was fine. It's funny. As a kid, I didn't like the first half, but I liked the second half. As an adult, I say the first half is actually the funny part, and it gets dumb in the second half. But do you know the drive-in movie critic from Texas, Joe Bob Briggs, at all? Have you heard of him?
No.
He used to. Okay, he was a big movie critic over here in the States. He used to have a show on TNT called Monster Vision, but he was a Texan film critic, big in the '90s, and he did one of the shows they did on Monster Vision they had him watch Howard the Duck, and he acted like he was giving it all praise in the beginning, and then he started tearing it apart toward the end. And I met him. He was at a community college I was at. He stopped by to do a presentation for his book called Profoundly Disturbing, which is about movies that are basically have bad reputations. He did a whole book about that. And I asked him, I got to meet him point blank, and I asked him, did you or did you not like Howard the Duck? Because it seemed like you were liking it at the beginning of your show and you didn't like it at the end. And he said it was a terrible movie. That's what he said. No, Joe Bob's funny. If you ever get a chance, watch old Monster Vision clips. Sometimes what people do on YouTube, they were for a while, they were taking like the actual movie, like they would take, for example, The Funhouse, and they would because they would show it on TNT all censored, but they would give you the uncensored version with his clips with it, which was kind of neat. But I'm sure those got taken down a while ago, but it was neat that somebody went to the trouble doing that.
Yeah. That's great. I'll check it out.
Yeah, cool.
All right, well, let's get off this because I know some of us have to get to bed. But thank you so much for coming by, Erik. Appreciate it so much.
Anytime.
And we'll find some more films and talk about those because there's a lot of them out there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, adopt, don't shop. Keep listening to great film scores, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much.
Take care.